It's time to get up and get your day started. It's Sports 56 mornings with Greg Gaston and Ryan Savoy on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM. Now, here are your hosts, Greg and Elon.
Good morning and welcome in. 7 o'clock here in the Family Leisure Studios on this Wednesday morning, June the 11th, 2025, as it is the day that it will be Game 3 of the NBA Finals tonight. You get these 2 days off between games. It kind of feels like it's a long time. I don't know, you kind of forget about it, and then it pops back up again, and you're like, oh yeah, there's another game tonight. And that will be the case tonight, as Game 3 will happen in Indiana after the two teams split the first two games in Oklahoma City. The Thunder and Pacers will play tonight in Indiana, Game 3, as somebody will go up 2-1. Good morning. Good to have you with us here on Sports 56 Mornings. Again, this is the Wednesday, June 11th, 2025 edition of the program. I am Eli Savoy. It is believed, according to reports, I believe Shams was on the case here, that Greg will appear today. We believe that. But we wait. We wait with bated breath to see if he is able to make it here to the studios or not today. Elijah Seegers, he made it here today as well. So we are both here. And again, Greg is expected to be here at some point today in the Family Leisure Studios. Family Leisure, where family and fun come together. And that weather continues to get hot. It is pool season. Official start of summer is, I believe, 10 days away. I don't know if it's the 20th. Is it 20th or 21st?
I think it's the 21st.
That's what I was thinking too. So I think we're 10 days away from the official start of summer. However, I'm with John Varlas, who, and most people, Memorial Day to Labor Day, that's summer. And so I live with that on that calendar as well. It is pool season. I was just by Family Leisure the other day. Huge selection of pools, pool supplies, everything you need. All kinds of outdoor stuff. Outdoor living. They've got plenty of stuff for you over at Family Leisure. 2120 Whitten Road is where you will find them. Coming up on today's program, we will talk some Grizzlies, as we do each and every Wednesday, with DeMichael Cole. We got news yesterday, an update on the Zach Edey situation. We'll get into that coming up here in just a moment, but DeMichael will join us to kick off our second hour, and we'll talk Grizzlies with him. Also in the second hour today, our soccer guy, Lawrence Dockery, will be joining us. We'll talk some soccer. Last night, and I guess you could call it an epic disaster for the U.S. men's soccer team. They were over in Nashville taking on Switzerland in a bit of a little friendly match. It was not friendly, however, for U.S. The old USA goes down 4-0. They were down 4-0 at the half, and they get beat 4-0. They've now lost their last 4 matches. And you've got some fighting going on between the current players for Team USA and former players about the decision not to play in the Gold Cup, which gets underway soon. The World Cup, by the way, here in the United States of America, the old World Cup, which we're hosting, begins 1 year from today. June 11th, 2026 will be when the World Cup gets underway. Lawrence Dockery will join us in our second hour. And then in our third hour today, we'll talk some Tigers. There was a bit of Tigers basketball news yesterday, as there is a player that will not be on the team that we thought would be. So they are back down to 12 players now. But Parth Upadhyay will join us coming up in our final hour today to talk Tigers and see, now that the House settlement, of course, is officially done. That means officially there are 15 scholarships available for basketball. And so the Tigers, we thought would have 2 open. Now they will have 3 open after yesterday's news. So we've got all of those guests coming up on the program. on this Wednesday. Of course, you've got the Sissy's Log Cabin listener line, always available to you at 901-360-8255, 901-360-8255. You can either call us or text us, always on the Sissy's Log Cabin listener line. As I mentioned yesterday, an update from the Grizzlies on the Zach Edey situation. He did have his surgery yesterday, and according to the medical update provided by the Grizzlies, he will be reevaluated in 4 months. So if you take a look at the calendar, 4 months from yesterday, of course, would be October 10th, which would be approximately 2 weeks before the season starts, the regular season starts. Last year, the regular season started for the Grizzlies on October 23rd. So, assuming it's going to be right around there once again, same calendar. So October 10th would put you about 2 weeks before the regular season starts. And so now that just says reevaluated at that time. Who knows when that reevaluation happens, how far along Zach Edey is, how close he would be. Would at that time after a reevaluation, would he be to the point where he's ready to really get back on the court, start getting ready for his eventual return to the court? If everything goes well, I guess that's the time frame that they would believe that, at that point, we're going to be able to get him on the court. And then, how long does it take to get into shape, get ready to play? Who knows? When you're talking about a 7'4", 300-pound man, all of those types of things. I don't know when his rehab will start, when he'll be able to start doing all that type of stuff to try and to get that ankle strengthened back up, all of those types of things. But again, this becomes big and what that timeline ends up being. And again, part of the Grizzlies can't wait till really October 10th to decide. They're going to have to make the decision much earlier and have to, I guess, depending on what doctors tell them as they go along, as he's doing rehab, things like that, of kind of what that timeline looks like. Because if they feel that without Zach Edey, they need another center on the roster, obviously they've got to figure out who that is, where they're getting them, how much money they're willing to spend on that for a guy who, once Zach Edey comes back, probably is not going to be really a part of things. So a stopgap type center that might be needed, they've got to make that decision. Now, I guess they could wait till the last minute and just pick up somebody at a free agent minimum deal right before the season, if that's what it took, just to get as a stopgap. If you've got Brandon Clark, who also, of course, coming back from injury, but he's expected to be okay for the start of the season. We know Jay Huff is around. Of course, you've got Jaren Jackson Jr., who could play center. If you do re-sign Santi Aldama, obviously you got him then at the 4 position as well. And you would end up, if you have Jackson, Clark, Huff, Aldama, is that enough to start the season with, in their opinion, and wait for Zach Edey? But the fact that it is 4 months, I guess, is better than he's going to be reevaluated in 6 months or something like that, where it's well into the start of the season before he's even reevaluated. And then a decision can be made on when he's ready to really get back to activity and get back in. But again, you're dealing with ankle and lower extremity injuries with really large human beings. That's always a little bit scary. So hopefully his rehab goes well. There are no setbacks. There are no issues. Hopefully once he is back on the court, those ankle injuries do not pop up anymore. It's been kind of freak stuff with him, stepping, in summer league last year, stepping on guys, another player's foot, causing these. And he was extremely durable at Purdue. Never really dealt with injuries at all. but he's gotten in the NBA, and now he's injured this ankle a number of times, and so they wanted to get in there and stabilize that ankle. And according to the reports, it was a successful surgery, which they always seem to be when it comes to athletes. And hopefully things will be okay as far as that is concerned, and Edey will be back on the court again. October 10th, about 2 weeks before the regular season starts. And again, the unfortunate part of all of this, there's many levels of it, but year 1 to year 2, that off season, generally a pretty big off season. You've had an opportunity to go through a full NBA season, see what the game's all about, go into your off season workouts, preparing what you need to do in order to now be ready for season 2, knowing what it takes to be ready for an NBA season. But for this team, and with Zach Edey in particular, it's even more than that, because you've got a new head coach who didn't really get to implement a whole lot of his stuff at the end of the regular season in the little bit that he took over. But we did see in that brief period of time that there was a lot more of involvement of Zach Edey in the offense pick and roll type game with Ja Morant. So certainly Zach Edey figures to be a big part of what Thomas Isola wants to do. And now Zach Edey's not there being able to do stuff for the offseason, not there for training camp, all of these things. So he misses out on that opportunity to get to be a part of all of this installation of new stuff. Now, he'll be there, but not be on the court for it. The development of chemistry with Ja Morant, other people, just that type of stuff, just that ability to go through a full training camp with a new coach putting his stuff in. That's a massive setback for Edey and for the Grizzlies as well. So again, hopefully when that October 10th date hits, that 4-month period ends, he can get on the court pretty quickly after that and have a little bit of time before the season officially gets underway. Elsewhere in the NBA, this Knicks coaching search does not seem to be going very well. The Knicks, according to reports from, I believe it's ESPN, I believe it was Shams, or maybe Windhorse, I don't know. They requested interviews with Ime Udoka and Chris Finch, and apparently were denied on both fronts. The Rockets and the Timberwolves both said, no, not going to talk with them. Apparently still have not asked for permission to interview Jason Kidd. There were reports, I believe from The Athletic and others, maybe, that Dallas is very confident that Jason Kidd is going to be back with them next year as their head coach, that he is not going anywhere. As a matter of fact, Dallas, who had been talking with Jay Triano about their lead assistant job, apparently agreed with him on it. It's not often, I wouldn't think, Elijah, if you're about to leave for another team, you would be hiring a lead assistant coach at your old team, right? Yeah,
that wouldn't make much sense to me.
Hey, come be my lead assistant. Oh, by the way, I'm leaving. Now, unless Jay Triano looks at it and goes, well, if I come in here and I get this job and then Kidd leaves, maybe I just slide right into the head coach's job. I don't know. But again, that it would appear as though things are pointing towards Jason Kidd staying in Dallas. So if the Knicks took the swings at Udoka and Finch, they were denied there. If they get denied by Kidd and or the Mavericks, we know Jay Wright said now, not interested. Danny Hurley, no. Again, this is the Knicks, so you always assume with the Knicks they're going to take these big swings. They're never, it's not like these other teams who had their interim coach, basically unknown guys generally before last season started, and they end up giving them the job. The Knicks always feel like they've got to go get a huge name out there. I don't know where they would go next. Do they go to Michael Malone?
I know he's from the area. It would make some sense.
But I saw one thing. One of the reporters, and I don't remember who it was, said that from what I guess they had heard, that if I remember correctly, it was that the Knicks really weren't interested in him because he has a lot of the tendencies and characteristics that Tom Thibodeau has. And so they weren't going to go that route. So I don't even know. I'm literally reading articles now, like Taylor Jenkins' name starts getting mentioned. You're like, okay, wait, what? I don't think they'll end up there, and he's basically mentioned because it's former head coaches and guys who've been head coaches recently who are currently out of jobs, guys that you could easily hire. The thing is this, if you're the Knicks, you would have thought, and maybe they assumed things that were very wrong to assume. I am not the biggest Tom Thibodeau fan, but obviously Tom Thibodeau just took you to the Eastern Conference Finals. You would think as an organization, if you were going to fire that coach coming off of an appearance in the Eastern Conference Finals, first one in a long time, that you would have had a very succinct idea and plan of, we know who we're going to get to replace him. That does not appear to be the case with the Knicks. Obviously, they're asking all over the place and getting denied. So unless they just assumed, oh no, we'll be able to go get Jason Kidd, which again, I don't know why you would assume that. Unless you already, with one of the current head coaches, you would have already needed to have some back channel conversations and said, no, he wants to be here. It's going to happen. But if not, what the hell are you doing? What kind of... You got rid of a guy who just had one of your most successful seasons in a long time with no plan in place whatsoever to hire his replacement. That is horrendous management. But I don't again, as far as big names go, because again, this is the Knicks. They always want to make a splash. If you don't get Kidd, I have no idea who it would possibly be.
Especially being at the point they're at, you can't assume that they'll go with a young guy like most of these other teams are.
Yeah. That's the thing, that's just not the Knicks. Are they getting under with Rick Brunson? Hey, let's get Jalen's dad. Do they turn back to, do they go to Jeff Van Gundy? Do they bring Jeff Van Gundy back?
At this point, they might have to.
That is a name. He is currently an assistant coach, so you'd think certainly the opportunity to become a head coach again. Now that he is back into coaching, year after year after year when he was in TV, his name would get brought up.
I know Mark Jackson's name constantly gets thrown around.
He's like the universal, again, he's now not doing TV. Both of those guys, when they were doing TV, would every year constantly candidates, and they kept turning it down because they had a pretty darn good gig. Now with Van Gundy back into coaching as an assistant with the Clippers, would he want to become a head coach again? I would assume he would. Once you're back into the coaching, I assume that's what your plan is to do. Mark Jackson, again, those are guys who have been, now again, Van Gundy back into it now as an assistant, but we're talking about guys who have been out of head coaching for a long time now. But I don't know. This just seems like a very poorly run situation. From either the perspective of, we thought because we're the Knicks, we would be able to easily go get one of these guys, or just no plan whatsoever when you fired a guy who just had great success, one of your most successful seasons in a very long time. The good thing for them, again, much like Phoenix was doing when they were hiring a coach, you're not competing with anybody out there in the market. So anybody that is a candidate is yours and yours only. You don't have to hurry to hire somebody before they go somewhere else. There's only one job opening, and that is the Knicks. And we'll see which way they go now. And again, maybe, I guess, Jason Kidd decides he wants to go, but it doesn't seem that way. And there is people have brought up that, and I forgot that this had happened, or I don't know if I really ever knew exactly what happened. But there was when Kidd was playing, I don't know if he had agreed to a deal with the Mavericks, but it was very close to being a done deal with the Mavericks, and then he ended up signing with the Knicks instead. So there's a history of Jason Kidd turning his back on the Mavericks and heading to New York. But I would think for Kidd, I get it. The Knicks have a very good roster right now. Obviously, just went to the Eastern Conference Finals. But with Cooper Flagg coming in, with Anthony Davis, with Kyrie Irving, with, to a lesser extent Klay Thompson, wouldn't you want to hang around and coach Cooper Flagg?
I would.
That's a pretty darn good thing. Again, it's a good roster in New York as well. You can't really go wrong roster-wise, but given that opportunity to coach Cooper Flagg, I think I'm hanging around to coach Cooper Flagg. And I think the Mavericks are going to probably take care. I'm guessing Kidd probably is trying to leverage New York to get a big deal from Dallas, a big extension, big money, all that type of stuff. That's probably the most likely thing that he is doing there, and ends up signing some big deal with Dallas to hang around. We need to take a break. Plenty more to get to. 7:21 here in the Family Leisure Studios. Mr. Gaston has arrived. Shams was correct in his reporting. He is here.
From questionable to available.
Yes, he's upgraded. He went from questionable to probable, and now, absolutely, we've updated it. He is available for today's game. We'll be back. More Sports 56 mornings coming up from the Family Leisure Studios here on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM.
Getting engaged is one of life's most spectacular occasions. And when you find your ring at Sissy's Log Cabin, the promise of a lifetime begins with our promise to always provide unmatched quality, superior service, and brilliant natural diamonds. Find your dream engagement ring, wedding bands, and more when you shop Sissy'sLogCabin.com or stop by any of our 7 locations. Begin the rest of your lives brilliantly, only at Sissy's Log Cabin, because life's too short for ordinary jewelry.
This is Joe Cordell of Cordell & Cordell. Serving in the military requires great sacrifices, not just for one's country, but also for one's family. Not surprisingly, divorce for soldiers is especially difficult, and it raises a number of challenges that are peculiar to military divorce, things such as deployments, relocation, retirement benefits. These issues can be complicated, and the lawyer you choose needs to be equipped to handle them. So if you're a soldier facing such challenges, go to CordellCordell.com.
Nestled in the heart of East Memphis, located corner of Park and Cherry, is a beautiful residential neighborhood. I'm here at Town Village Audubon Park interviewing a new resident, Carolyn. Share with us why you chose Town Village.
Well, if your parents or special friends need to make that big move, let me share with you my experience. It was tough for me to leave home, but then I discovered Town Village. I would like to highly recommend Town Village to you and your loved ones. After looking at all the amenities and meeting all the people and staff, I was hooked. From restaurant, bistro, 3 meals per day, housekeeping, transportation, security, health care, physical therapy, exercise room, and even a heated pool and spa. Come see us and make your new home in Town Village.
Visit us and call Daniel at Town Village Audubon Park at 901-374-7342. There's no place like home, Town Village.
Wally Hatchet serves breakfast all day and Southern comfort food for lunch. Hatchet fans love our huge omelets, breakfast Sammys, scrambles, and chicken and waffles. For lunch, check out the Mississippi pot roast, chicken fried steak, grilled meatloaf are one of our best-selling burgers, lipstick on a cow. Pickup, delivery, and catering are also available. Visit WallyHatchets.com to order online. Wally Hatchets is located at 6439 Summer Avenue and open from 7 a.m. to 2 p.m. Tuesday through Sunday. Wally Hatchets. Count your blessings, not your calories.
This traffic report on Sports 56 is brought to you by Palo Windows and Doors of Memphis and the Mid-South Palo Windows. The standard is affordable luxury.
Sports 56 traffic.
Good morning. It's got a little bit heavier around the airport here in the last few minutes, up and down certain sections of Tullahoma, Holmes Road, as it builds right now southbound on Austin P as you get up on that ramp there to I-40. It's also picking up around the 101 connector over here on I-40 as you come past Watkins. Weimer's Jewelry, I want you to know they are your diamond engagement ring headquarters this bridal season. Stop by and see them today at Weimer's Jewelry on Highway 64. I'm Commander Chuck with your on-time traffic.
Back to Sports 56 Morning on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM. Here once again, Greg Gaston and Eli Savoy.
Welcome back, 726 here at the Family Leisure Studios, Sport 56 Mornings on this Wednesday morning. And yes, the reports were correct. I never doubt Shams when his reporting. He had Mr. Gaston as appearing at some point today, and by golly, he's here.
I am here. It was not without a little angst, as I could not get out of my little cul-de-sac where I live.
You were held hostage.
I was held hostage by a very protective security gate, which I love, and one of the major reasons why I live where I live, because I feel safe and secure, and that proved it to me, as I could not get the heck out of there. And then thanks to one of my neighbors, and what really makes me mad is that, and once in a while we have these gate issues.
Hashtag first world problems.
First world problems. And so reportedly, Shams reporting this as well, the gate guy came last night and fixed the gate. Apparently didn't fix it well enough that I could get out this morning. So I am here. But it was because I didn't want to. How can I bother my neighbors? I mean, it's 6:15. I'm leaving the house. And, well, we have a gentleman who kind of runs the show for us. I know he's sleeping, and I feel really bad for him, but I know I got to go to work. And so I texted him, and he didn't respond right away because he was probably sleeping, as most people do at this time. And then eventually, luckily for me, his wife was coming out with their dog, and she goes, "What's going on?" I go, "Hey, this thing's not opening up." So she called him up. He came out. We got it at least temporarily open, and now the gate guy better be on his way back today because he did a horrible job. In the meantime, I'm sitting there in my car.
You could have just stormed the gate, just take your car and just ram it. Should have just rammed it.
It would have did some bad damage on my car because that thing is, I mean, I think he would use this in war because I don't know how much it would take to storm that gate. It is a very solid gate. But I sat there as I waited, and I get a text from my buddy in North Carolina. I'm like, wow, this is pretty early for him to text, but he knows I'm up getting ready for the show. And it is a story from their newspaper where he lives about a story, of course, in Memphis. And I'm not sure if you saw this, but did you see that a reporter from Channel 3 was carjacked at gunpoint?
I did. Saw the video of it.
Oh, so I haven't seen the video. I didn't know the story.
Channel 3, yeah.
Yeah.
It's a tough situation out there.
The reporter's okay, which is the most important thing. But come on, man. I mean, seriously? Two blocks from the station.
Nobody is immune to being carjacked in Memphis.
I wonder if the van had the call letters on it. Would the criminal still attempted to would he still have attempted to carjack, in this case, a van, with Channel 3 on the side?
I think it was a RAV4, if I'm not mistaken.
Okay. Would, if that person seen WREG Channel 3 tried to still, I mean, it's not that criminals are intelligent, so.
I think generally, I mean, I have no idea, but I would guess he was probably in a moment of I just need a car really bad to get out of here right now. And the first one does. I don't care what it says on the side of it. That would be my guess. I don't
Even
know.
if it said Memphis Police?
I have never been police cars have been stolen here too.
I
so-
know. I know. I say that tongue in cheek.
I have not ever carjacked anybody. Never been in a situation where I felt the need to carjack anybody. So I don't know how much thought you're putting into what the car says on it.
Yeah.
I don't. Maybe he would have been more discerning, but I do not know.
Anyway, I'm glad the reporter is okay. And, not the greatest area.
I mean, maybe if there would have been another car at the gas station with that car and one says WREG on it and one doesn't, maybe he says, I'll go this way. But from the video, it didn't look like there was
options. It's all about options.
It didn't look like there was any other cars at the gas station at the time from the video I saw.
And look, we know, unfortunately, around here, your head's got to be on a swivel no matter where you're getting gas because it's happened everywhere. But, yeah, I am very particular where I go, but also when I go. Now, what are you going to do? Somebody comes up and sticks a gun in your back. I mean, there's not much you could do about it, but it's just sad. It's just, again, sad news. I saw that news yesterday about the statue of Kobe and his daughter who perished in that horrible tragedy. Somebody had wrecked the statue, graffiti, all that stuff. And then it was Luka Doncic, maybe among other people, but I know Luka had stepped up and gave money to have that restored. And then I saw the story yesterday that, they had restored it and then they hit it up again. I'm not saying it's the same people, but they hit it up again. More graffiti, more. What the hell's wrong with people, man? What is wrong with people? What are you thinking? What's going through your little pea-brain mind when you do things like this?
There is an overwhelming amount of really crazy people in this world.
There is. It's a pretty high percentage. All right.
Yes, it's a majority.
All right, let's get back to sports. I know you talked about the Zach Edey news. We were just waiting to see when the surgery would take place, and it took place yesterday. And now we know a little bit more. Does not mean 4 months from now he's on the court. It's just when he'll be reevaluated. Tonight, got NBA Finals Game 3. Pacers 5.5-point home dog with the series even at 1. And then I saw yesterday the press conference with Tyrese Halliburton, and he got away from the desk. It's not a podium where he was talking, but like the desk. He's behind the table, and he gets up, and he's limping a little bit. And so then it's reported, I don't know who said this, but he has a lower leg thing. I don't think that's the medical term, but he's got a lower leg thing.
Yeah, he was, I think, seen limping. I don't remember what was it. I don't know if it was after the game. I don't remember when it was, but there was people. But he says he's good to go. I have no reason to doubt that. These two teams have struggled in Game 3s. Mm-hmm.
Something's got to give, right?
Pacers have not won a Game 3 in this playoffs. They've lost all 3 of their Game 3s. And the Thunder, they did win one Game 3. We remember it well. They were down by 29 in that Game 3 and had to come back from 29 down to win it. And then they lost their next 2 Game 3s. So they are combined 1-5 in Game 3s, with the only win being a 29-point comeback for the Thunder against the Grizzlies. So it is, whatever it is, Game 3s have not been kind to these two teams. Now, let's see. I guess I was going to say they've been up 2-0 going to Game 3 every time, but no. The Thunder were 1-1 with Denver when they went to Game 3 and lost Game 3 there. So somebody's going to win tonight. Somebody will win Game 3 tonight. We'll see who it is.
So Parthu Pajai will be on with us at 9:25 to talk some Tigers basketball. And yesterday we were talking about that video clip where Penny Hardaway had addressed his players, and he said, look, all I need is 12 guys basically running through the wall for me. And
all you needed was 12 guys running through a gate for you.
Yeah, I still think they would not have been able to be successful with my gate. But anyway, the whole point was, wait a minute, aren't there 13 guys on the roster? And so something was fishy about that, and I guess it came to a head yesterday as it was reported that Felipe Patino has been released, never played at Memphis. One of the early commits of this class from junior college, Eastern Florida State College. So that does put the roster at 12. And again, with the House settlement, the roster could be as high as 15. But right now it's at 12. Obviously, they're still awaiting the Dane Danger waiver, and they may be waiting a long time. But I wonder if Penny is still looking to add, especially with the deficiency in the front court. But Felipe Patino, we hardly knew you. Good luck. I don't know if this was Penny deciding he has too many guards and him kind of showing him the door, or this was vice versa. Patino just looking at the situation and deciding, no, I think I can play somewhere else, or something in between. I don't know. Maybe Parth will know more information on that.
My guess would be Patino looked at it and thought,
too many guards?
Maybe this is probably not. I'm probably not going to get a lot of minutes. I would rather go give myself a chance somewhere else.
Yeah, but it's interesting because the guy never made it to Memphis. So he never really sized up the competition. I mean, just all he knew was who they brought in on paper.
But in today's world, in college basketball, you can look at who's making the money and realize who's probably going to get the minutes.
But do you have that information?
I bet he did, or had a pretty good guess.
So big news yesterday as the NCAA is still around. Although according to Charlie Baker, they nearly went bankrupt. Thanks to the settlement, they're not going to have to deal with bankruptcy. But the NCAA yesterday did approve some major rule changes for men's basketball. There will now be sarcastic clap.
They got it. They got it finally. We no longer have 46 reviews in the final 2 minutes for out of bounds.
Okay. But you will have the coach's challenge.
That's exactly right.
So the coach's challenge will include out of bounds calls, goaltend or basket interference calls. The latter can also be initiated by officials in the game's final 2 minutes of regulation and overtime, and the block charge in the restricted area. Now, it's one per game per coach. However, if they are successful, they get another. They don't keep getting one. It's just a second one.
It's the same as the NBA.
Right. So there's also going to be an emphasis on the offensive players who end their dribble going towards the basket and then taking on contact. They're now permitted to pivot or complete the step and finish the field goal attempt. Also, like the NBA, continuation as we know it. So those are rules that are more toward, like you said, the NBA. I like it. You have already applauded. Elijah, do you like that?
I do. I agree with Eli. I think it'll make the game a lot smoother and more easy to watch down the stretch.
And again, the last 2 minutes, did I say two? Yeah, last 2 minutes of regulation and overtime. If there's an overtime, the officials can go to the review. But the coaches have the one review. They get to keep it.
They could go to review for goaltending.
Right.
Not for out of bounds.
Exactly.
They can no longer go to out of bounds reviews.
Can they go for the block charge?
No, the only
just goaltender basket interference. Okay,
I think they could still do timing errors, and they can do flagrant foul type stuff. But
what it also brings into play, which
when I brought this up a few weeks ago, you argued with me about it. You thought they should review everything. Now you say you like this, but whatever.
No, because it's a step in the right direction. It may not be the full step, but I like it.
What this is the step opposite of what you wanted them to do.
No, it's better than what it was. They didn't have a coach's challenge. They couldn't review. Now at least they can review it. If the coach elects to do so. I know they're not going to review all of those controversial who did it go off of plays, but at least, and this is where strategy comes in, where the coach now, they really can't afford to waste a challenge early in the game because I'm sure they will have players, just like in the NBA, where the player and the coach is the only one who can initiate this. Can't be a player, but where a player will turn around and go emphatically to the coach, make the motion. No, went off him. You got to be, again, strategic in the way you do things, because you can ill afford to lose the challenge early for something in the first 5 minutes of the game that would be worthless when you may have one of those very pivotal calls late in the game. And like we just talked about, the officials, they cannot initiate that. They can initiate, again, goaltend or basket interference calls. But at least there's that possibility that on a very controversial out-of-bounds call, the coach will use the challenge. And if they win the challenge, they keep the challenge at least one more time. That's it. That's the maximum. So I do like that. I still would like all out-of-bounds plays in the last 2 minutes reviewed by the officials and in overtime, because we have too many of those.
Okay, that's my point. This is a step away from that. That used to be the thing. They do this, and you say this is a step in the right direction.
Well, no, because the coach gets to challenge it. So if the coach is hanging on to the challenge and there's a controversial play in the last minute on who it touched going out of bounds, at least the coach has that. They didn't have that before.
No, they just did it before. That's the whole point. The referees just did it. That was the problem. They did it every time the ball went out of bounds in the final 2 minutes.
No, they didn't.
If it was close at all, they looked at it. That's the problem. That's why I've wanted this in place, because the games were taking forever. The final 2 minutes would take 20 minutes because we'd have 8 reviews of the final 2 minutes.
Well, you're right about that. I mean, nobody wants long delayed. Plus, it messes up the flow of the teams. Nobody wants that. I understand that. But I'm always for, if you have the technology, which we have, get the call right. I'm all about getting the call right. So if it happens to go a couple of minutes longer than maybe a game is supposed to go, then I'm all for it. I'm all for getting the call right. All right. We'll take a timeout. Do want to tell you folks about Corky's. Corky's Ribs and Barbecue. Great option today for lunch, for dinner. Anytime's a good time for Corky's. They've been serving up that delicious slow smoke barbecue for nearly 40 years. In fact, I plan on going to lunch there today. You can dine in at any of their 4 establishments. You can drive through the no-contact drive-through and pick up your food. Or you can also have any of the services delivered to your home or your office for lunch today at your business, at your place of employment. Makes sense, maybe. A little outing for the people at work. Corky's always makes sense. Corky's also makes sense for any big event you got coming up, because they've been catering for their entire existence. That's 4 decades. They'll start you out as low as $7.99 per person for catering. Now, when you head over for lunch or for dinner, add a third of a rack of ribs for just $7.99 when you purchase your entree. They have lunch specials every day. Party packs start at just $7.49. That delicious Q, the ribs, the barbecue nachos. They also have an award-winning catfish plate, tamales, even burgers, amazing desserts. Poplar Avenue in Memphis, Poplar Avenue in Collierville, Germantown Parkway in Cordova, and Goodman Road in Olive Branch. Corky's Ribs and Barbecue, open for lunch and dinner 7 days a week. The first college football preseason magazines are coming out, and the first one I saw, not real high necessarily on the Memphis Tigers. We'll talk about that when we return. This is Sports 56 Mornings with Greg and Eli on Real Sports Talk, Sports 56 and 98.5 FM.
Join the voice of the Tigers, Dave Woloshin, for Wolo and Friends. Weekday mornings from 10 to 11 here on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM.
At Jason's Deli, when you're dining in or picking up curbside, you can expect wholesome food and no surprises. Just delicious sandwiches, crisp salads, and quick quality meals made with the freshest ingredients and no artificial trans fats, MSG, high fructose corn syrup, or artificial colors and dyes. Around here, a lot of thought goes into what we put into our food and what we take out of it, because you're not just taking a bite, you're getting a taste of who we are. New items are constantly being created to expand our menu for all tastes and special diets, with vegan and gluten-free options available. Convenience and on-time delivery you can count on. It's just a click away at jasonsdeli.com, so whether you need to feed 5 people or 5,000, the team at Jason's Deli, they have the credentials and the commitment to keep you satisfied.
Freshness is nearby at Jason's Deli with locations at Ridgeway in the Park Place Center, Poplar and Highland, Germantown Road in Cordova, and on Goodman Road in Olive Branch. Jason's Deli. It's wholesome food and no surprises.
Hi, I'm Glenda Hastings, owner of Napa Cafe, and I'm inviting you over for dinner. Treat yourself tonight with a delightful dinner of scrumptious combinations, fresh salads, homemade soups, or maybe start with an appetizer like our baked Dungeness crab dip with manchego cheese, lemon, garlic, and French baguette toast. Drift into one of our fresh seafood dishes like the caramelized sea scallops with curry beurre blanc, black forbidden rice, and Thai mango salad, or our ancho honey glazed salmon with creamy black bean puree, avocado pico de gallo, and jalapeno crema. Maybe you're looking for something cozy and comforting, like our Duroc pork chop with apple brandy demi-glaze and blue cheese bacon mashed potatoes. We have something for everyone. Napa Cafe, open Wednesday through Saturday for dinner starting at 5 o'clock. For reservations, visit our website at napacafe.com. Come join us. I'd sure love to see you.
Congratulations to Napa Cafe, celebrating 27 years of great food and service for you. Napa Cafe.
Thy ticket, Lady Jennifer of Cooch. Well, many thanks, good sir. Here is my Discover card. They accept Discover at Renaissance fairs? They do here. Discover is accepted at the places I love to shop. Get it? With the times. With the times? You're playing the lute. Yeah, that sounds pretty good, right?
Discover is accepted at 99% of places that take credit cards nationwide. Based on the February 2024 Nielsen report.
It's time for fun, family, and fabulous prizes at the 67th Annual St. Louis Hole-in-One Charity Festival, Sunday through Saturday, June 15th through 21st. Golfers can win cash and prizes every night, along with the chance to win $25,000 toward a City Auto vehicle purchase select nights. Then a chance to win $1 million the final night. Plus, there are cornhole tournaments every night with cash and prizes. Friday and Saturday nights, there are kids' carnival rides and 2 to 4 Saturday children's golf. So golfers, grab your clubs. Cornholers, practice your aim. Families, bring the kids. Memphis, there's something for everyone. You're invited to the biggest party of the year at St. Louis Church, 203 South White Station Road. The 67th Annual St. Louis Hole-in-One Charity Festival, Sunday through Saturday, June 15th through the 21st. Fun, family, and fabulous prizes all week as you help raise funds supporting youth programs at St. Louis Church.
Back to Sports 56 Mornings. Good morning on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM. Here once again, Greg Gaston and Eli Savoy.
Never too early to start talking college football. It'll be here before you know it. And yesterday, a couple of notes from the University of Memphis didn't come from Memphis, meaning originating from Memphis, but the Athlon College Football Preview magazine is out, and they had their predictions for the American Conference. I'll get to that in a second. But also, FBS Schedules put together their ranking of the top 10 games in the American Conference this upcoming season, and 4 of them involve the Memphis Tigers. Now, the number 1 game on their list, South Florida at Navy. Interesting. Number 2 is Tulane at Memphis. That makes a lot of sense. That'll be on November 7th, and that again in Memphis. Number 3, Navy at Memphis, November 28th. Number 4, South Florida at Memphis, October 25th. And number 8, Memphis at East Carolina, November 15th. So 3 of the top 4 involve the University of Memphis. All 3 of those games being at home, as we've talked about. While it's a changing of the guard at quarterback and a number of positions, Memphis's schedule, as far as the conference is concerned, is advantageous to them as opposed to what it was last year when it was a lot tougher. They played the better teams in the conference on the road. And now, as we have discussed since that schedule was released, you get Navy at home, you get South Florida at home, you get Tulane at home, you avoid UTSA. So Memphis, again, 4 of the top 10 according to FBS schedules as far as the top 10 games are concerned on paper for the American Conference. Then, with the Athlon Sports Preview magazine, the college football preview, Basically, in a nutshell, they said there are 6 teams that can win the American Conference Championship. Those 6 are Tulane, Navy, South Florida, UTSA, Army, and Memphis. But in the order of prediction, and again, they say it's close between the 6, so it's not like they're thinking Memphis is a dog or anything, but Memphis is the 6th team out of the 6th. They got Tulane and Navy and South Florida, 1, 2, 3, then UTSA, Army, and Memphis, which makes you wonder if the thought process is, since Memphis does not play UTSA and Army, that they're losing those 3 games at home. All 3 of them, Tulane, Navy, and South Florida. It'll be a challenge, but I completely disagree with that. By the way, they got East Carolina 7th, followed by North Texas, Florida Atlantic, Temple, Charlotte, UAB, Rice, and Tulsa bringing up the rear. But again, 6 teams in the mix. They got Memphis at number 6. With those 3 opponents that I just mentioned in the top games from FBS schedules, all at home, but all ranked ahead of Memphis in the finishing order.
Obviously, they don't have a lot of faith in Memphis.
What about you?
I mean, I haven't. I'll be honest. Don't know a damn thing about USF's football team for this year.
Well, I think the quarterback who missed the game last year at Memphis, Brown, what was it? Byron Brown? Is that the guy's name? I think he's back. And the expectations are high. If I'm not mistaken, I think he's back. Obviously, Navy, which beat Memphis last year, Horvath is back at quarterback.
I have not begun to look at
Byron Brown.
Here on June 11th, I have not looked at, been looking at American Athletic Conference football rosters.
Just told you it's never too early to start
I believe
talking
it is.
college football.
I believe it is too early.
No, it's not. It's not.
I believe it's too early for me to care about USF's roster right now.
Well, it's a couple of stories that I had from yesterday. Sorry that you don't want to talk much about it, but you may want to talk about this because we did talk about it yesterday on the show. The whole PAC deal, okay? Pac-12, the revamped conference. They're still trying to figure it out. Perhaps we will find out this week what their media rights package is going to look like. But John Canzano, who does a good job covering the PAC and schools out west, was talking about a meeting that took place yesterday. And among the agenda was expansion and media rights. They have to add at least one more football playing member. Now, it could be all sports. And we talked about Memphis and the original offer and turned down by Dr. Ed Scott, the AD at Memphis, and understandably so. And there's people still banging the drum that Memphis should join this conference. Well, obviously money is the most important thing. But when we were talking about it, we were talking about it under the premise that they would go there for football and the other sports, they would have to find a new home, right? That's what we were talking about.
I wasn't thinking of that necessarily.
Okay,
no.
okay.
Because the original offer was to go all sports. I would assume that if they're coming back with a new offer, it would be for all sports.
Yeah, my thought was football, would they take a football only since they need to get to 8? And would that interest Memphis if the money was right? But it would also mean a landing spot. Where would that landing spot be for everything else? Because the American Conference certainly is not going to keep you if football leaves. And so that we got into the whole Big East conversation and all that. Okay. But obviously all sports is first and foremost on their list because Canzano reported that from the conversations yesterday, and Parth had retweeted this, and we can mention that to Parth. We got some time when he joins us, that there has been some apprehension from the new look Pac-12 about adding Memphis because the addition of the Tigers would increase travel costs for the league's current members. But that's what we've been talking about as far as from Memphis's point of view. Also reporting that there's some reluctance to drag athletes in non-revenue sports across multiple time zones. Yeah, that has been the issue with all these schools and the movement that we've had around the country. schools from the West Coast moving into the Big Ten, all over the place. That is a big problem, but at least they have more money to compensate. Whereas certainly in the Pac, it's not going to be like the Power Four conferences. So yes, I can understand the reluctance, but the reluctance goes both ways. And that was the whole point from the Memphis point of view with Dr. Scott, twofold. One, the money wasn't there. Most importantly, the money wasn't there. If the money was there, maybe they would have accepted. But remember, there was an offer that was turned down. So now with these other schools that are now committed to the Pac, they're looking at it and go, no, we're not interested in that, or at least we're apprehensive about it. And that makes sense. So it goes back to the conversation of maybe, and it doesn't have to be 8. Remember, you also have Gonzaga's playing, but they're playing everything but football because they don't have football, that maybe it will be Texas State and UTSA. Now, if it's UTSA, obviously the American Conference loses one of their better football programs. And right now they're a little bit better off overall in football than they are in basketball, with just Memphis and the Dregs. But at least in football, you got your seat at the table in the playoff. Well, you don't necessarily from the American, but the group of 5 does. And you would think that the American will be a player. Boise, of course, will be a player now moving over to when they move to the Pac from the Mountain West. But that's a loss from a football standpoint, not from basketball or really the other sports. It's about football, and that would be a little chink in the armor, losing UTSA if that's the case. But I understand where those teams, those schools are coming from about Memphis, just like Memphis should be the same way. Yeah, we don't want to incur all those additional costs, especially for our Olympic sports, our non-revenue sports. We can't afford that.
That's why, as Ed Scott said the first time, it's got to be worth. There's got to be a big increase in the money to make up for all of the things, from exit fees to increased travel costs, everything else. So there's a lot. You need a lot more money in order to make that move. It can't just be a little bit more money because your costs are going way up. So, by the way, the Kobe Bryant thing, it's not the statue that is vandalized, it's a mural.
The mural. My apologies, the mural. But either way, the information about it being vandalized a second time is correct.
Yes.
So, and again, I was just thinking outside the box that perhaps if they get, I don't want to say desperate, but you have to have that 8th team for football. And let's say they are unable to reach a deal with, and I think they'd probably be able to get the deal done with Utah State for sure, and probably UTSA if they want to go in that direction. But let's say they didn't. That's what I'm thinking outside the box. Like, well, what happens if maybe a football-only offer, and then if something really could materialize with the Big East for your basketball and other sports, is that even possible to mix and match? Now, I don't like it personally to have my different sports playing in different leagues, but it is what it is. They're holding out. If they could
do that, if you could do that as Memphis, that's the best solution. But you have to know that you could get all your other sports into the Big East or wherever.
Exactly.
You have to have a landing spot before you go that route.
Yeah, and they're still holding out that they think they can make it one day into a power conference, in particular the Big 12. So there's still those thoughts, but to me, I've heard that story too many times. It would be fantastic, but again, to have some wishful thinking is okay, but right now I would look at the options. And like you said, the Big East, I don't know if it's an option. I don't know if it's a legitimate option, but that's the only way I would split is football in the Pac, all the other sports in the Big East. But again, probably a far cry from something like that even being put on the table. All right, we'll take a break. We come back. We open up hour number 2 talking Grizzlies, the Zach Edey news, what's going on in the offseason for the Grizz. We'll do that with Michael Cole from the Commercial Appeal. You're tuned in to Sports 56 Mornings with Greg and Eli on Real Sports Talk, Sports 56 and 98.5 FM.
Everything today is technologically based. Well, except maybe you. If you're struggling with tech, no matter what kind, call Tech for You. Tech for You for TVs, home theaters, cameras, smart locks, digital storage, and more. Tech for You makes it simple and affordable. Call 697-9695. Make your home safe, comfortable, and up to date with Tech for You. Stop struggling with tech. Call 697-9695. Veteran owned and operated Tech for You. Technology simplified.
Is your wife asking you to stop eating junk food? We have it covered at Humdinger. It's quick, it's healthy, and most important, it tastes amazing. Many choices from salmon salad to rainbow trout and grilled asparagus. Come visit us for lunch at Humdinger, 6300 Poplar Avenue. So good, Coach Penny eats with us weekly. Don't forget, Humdinger's offers full-service catering for weddings, social events, or your corporate lunches. You can call 901-260-8292 to find out more.
Do you know one of the best things you can do for your employees or family's health? Provide Arctic Clear bottled water. Arctic Clear bottled water is your locally owned and operated bottled water provider. Arctic Clear is 100% natural spring water with free delivery instead of dependable service and no long-term contracts. An easy choice. Call Jeff Metis today, 901-382-2363, or visit arctic-clear.com. Arctic Clear bottled water. Call now, 382-2363. That's 382-2363.
At Jason's Deli, when you're dining in or picking up curbside, you can expect wholesome food and no surprises, just delicious sandwiches, crisp salads, and quick quality meals made with the freshest ingredients and no artificial trans fats, MSG, high fructose corn syrup, or artificial colors and dyes. Around here, a lot of thought goes into what we put into our food and what we take out of it, because you're not just taking a bite, you're getting a taste of who we are. New items are constantly being created to expand our menu for all tastes and special diets with vegan and gluten-free options available. Convenience and on-time delivery you can count on. It's just a click away at jasonsdeli.com, so whether you need to feed 5 people or 5,000, the team at Jason's Deli, they have the credentials and the commitment to keep you satisfied. Freshness is nearby at Jason's Deli with locations at Ridgeway in the Park Place Center, Poplar and Highland, Germantown Road in Cordova, and on Goodman Road in Olive Branch. Jason's Deli. It's wholesome food and no surprises.
Online radio show is back on WHBQ Sports 56 and 98.5 FM. Every Monday night at 6, hear the latest news on your Ole Miss Rebels with Nancy Porter with 24/7 Sports. Your Ole Miss defensive tackle Mike Fitzsimmons, Gordon Ford covering SEC sports ball, and former Ole Miss baseball announcer Gary Garvey from kickoff to first row to extra innings. Your Ole Miss sports on the Rebel Yell Hotline show right here Monday night at 6 on Sports 56, 560 AM and 98.5 FM. Your Mid-South Sports Station.
This traffic report brought to you by Triangle Meat Company, feeding Memphis since 1967. Open 8 to 5, Monday through Friday, 4790 Summer Avenue. Trust Triangle Meat Company.
Sports 56 traffic.
Good morning. It's trying to pick up on Bill Morris Parkway coming inbound in from Collierville right now, coming up through South Haven's been in pretty good shape so far as we check it out live here on 55 northbound, working your way up to Brooks and Elvis Presley here in South Memphis. It's trying to pick up also coming off that ramp from Austin P onto the interstate. Weimer's Jewelry, your diamond engagement ring headquarters this bridal season. Stop by and see them today at Weimer's Jewelry, 7525 Highway 64. I'm Commander Chuck with your on-time traffic.
Sports 56, WHBQ Memphis, and W253DF Memphis with John Harden. Weekdays from 11 to 1. Now back to Sports 56 mornings on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM. This hour is brought to you by James Gaddis Jewelers. Here once again, Greg Gaston and Eli Savoy.
Welcome back, everyone. 8:04 the time. Hour number 2 here on Sports 56 Mornings, the Wednesday, June 11th, 2025 edition. Greg Gaston, Eli Savoy, Elijah Seegers with you, broadcasting live and local from the Family Leisure Studios. Family Leisure, 2120 Whitten Road, just north of I-40. Currently, It is 72 degrees, going to get up to about 90 today. Probably a lot like yesterday, mostly sunny, little bit of clouds, but a very minimal chance of precipitation. 70 degrees for your low tonight with partly cloudy skies. And then your Thursday looks like some sun early, then some clouds, and the possibility of rain later in the day. 84 for your high, not as hot tomorrow for your Thursday. Hour 2 of the program is brought to you by James Gaddis Jewelers. They are your family's jeweler, located at 4900 Poplar Avenue in the heart of East Memphis, right between Mendenhall and St. Nick. Open 10 to 5 Monday through Friday, 10 to 4 on Saturday, closed on Sunday. Again, as I always stress, if you're getting engaged or plan on getting engaged this summer, this fall, make sure James Gaddis Jewelers is one of the jewelers you check out for those beautiful engagement rings, those beautiful diamonds that they brought back from Antwerp, Belgium earlier this year, and they're right there for you with all kinds of variety, different sizes and shapes. And, of course, the cost is always going to be different, so they make sure they have a price point to suit everyone's budget. So whether you're looking for a $1,500 diamond or you're looking for a $100,000 diamond, they have options for you at James Gaddis Jewelers. And then for all your other jewelry needs, if you're looking for a beautiful watch for your father, it's Father's Day this Sunday. Beautiful watch for your dad, or any type of gifts for birthdays, anniversaries, for graduations. They have all types of, whether it be necklaces or bracelets or earrings or pendants, one-of-a-kind estate and vintage jewelry. It's James Gaddis Jewelers. Go check them out today. When you do, tell them you heard it here on Sports 56 Mornings. James Gaddis Jewelers, 4900 Poplar between Mendenhall and St. Nick, and on the web at gaddisjewelers.com. Time now to talk some Grizzlies with DeMichael Cole.
It's time to talk some Grizzlies basketball. Joining Greg and Eli is DeMichael Cole, Grizzlies beat writer for the Commercial Appeal. Here's DeMichael with Greg and Eli.
He is the outstanding beat reporter covering the Grizzlies for the Commercial Appeal. He is DeMichael Cole. You can follow him on Twitter at DeMichaelC. He joins us each and every week, and he joins us right now. Hey, DeMichael.
What's going on, Greg? How we doing?
Doing pretty good. So the Zach Edey news seemed to come out of nowhere, and now that throws a little bit of a wrench into the whole thing, even though nobody knows for sure what the game plan is for the front office. But now you have to worry about that situation. Your initial thoughts when you heard the news, and then, of course, yesterday after we got the update.
Yeah, I mean, my initial thought when we saw, that the news was, I mean, one, like, that's a big bummer for him. You know, you talk a lot about, a player's improved the most in a lot of these sports, but basketball particularly, when you talk about going from year one to year two, that is when the mental and the physical thing kind of, you get big adjustments in both of those realms. So you usually see big jumps. And, it's still a possibility for him and probably still happens, but, it just makes it tougher. It's going to be, he's not going to get a traditional off season where, you go from year one and then you go to summer league and you dominate guys and everyone says, oh, he's too good for summer league now. And then you come back, for the regular season and you show what you've worked on and things like that. Like, it's not going to be traditional for him. So that was my initial thoughts. And then, you talk to people and, I wanted to get more context because, just like, how doesn't, a left ankle sprain turn into surgery? But as talking to people and learning more about the situation, and of course, what the Grizzlies basically said in yesterday's announcement is, his ankle's very loose, and when that's the case, you become more and more susceptible to ankle injuries. So this is a situation where they're just getting out ahead of it. Like, of course, in theory, yeah, he could have rested the ankle or whatever the case may be and been ready at the beginning of the regular season with no problem. But they're saying, look, we want to go ahead and address this now so he doesn't keep getting ankle injuries and, worst case scenario, gets a worse one as the ankle's loosen and he's more susceptible to them, which means he's going to suffer, another one. And especially in this case, you're talking about an off-season, workout. So they're saying then if he's suffering ankle injuries in this environment where, it's not even as strenuous as being on the court in a basketball game, we need to go ahead and address this, restabilize it, and hopefully make this a thing of the past where ankle injuries are behind Zach Edey.
You mentioned and I brought up there, the development you just expect from year 1 to year 2. It's also, to me, it's even more unfortunate for Edey and the Grizzlies in that you've got a new system with a new coach going in that theoretically is going to highlight Zach Edey more, and he's going to be used more, and now he's not even going to be there for all that implementation of that on the court.
Yeah, that's what the mental reps are going to be important for him, and you'll learn like how important that is, or whatever the case may be. Look, I think the thing about the timeline is, if you just look at the four months, he'll be reevaluated on like a return to play. But 4 months from now, the Grizzlies will be in the preseason. So, in theory, you're hopeful at least that he could be doing some small work with his team, at that point. Like, we're not talking about, reps on the court in terms of, in basketball preseason games or whatever the case may be. But in practices, setting screens, learning the new system and things like that, like, going at 50% speed with your teammates or whatever the case may be, you would think that he would possibly be able to, the indications that I've gotten is maybe around 3 months is when you'll see him start to be able to do a little bit more of the basketball activity, which would put him kind of in line to at least not be stagnant during preseason workouts, not just be on the sidelines just watching the entire time. Maybe, of course, there'll be, periods he probably won't be able to participate in and whatnot. But I think the opportunity is still there, being that they got out in front of this early. The biggest challenge is going to be the return to play for the NBA games, and I think that's where the bigger adjustments will come for him.
Well, I think you hit it on the head. They got out in front of it. I like that because we often see, not from the Grizzlies, but in sports, sometimes they delay. They wait. They're not sure they want to have their player go under the knife. And the Grizzlies were quick to evaluate and then to decide. So I like that, number one. And the timetable, again, we're only going from the information we get. And we're not doctors. We don't know. And every player is different on how they're going to be able to come back from injuries. But I like what you laid out there. So I think unless there's a setback, okay, unless there's a major setback, I don't think the way it sounds that targeting, let's say December 1st, okay, that's not crazy, right? If I say, all right, he's ready to go by December 1st, right?
I do not think that's a crazy target date at all. No, I do not. I mean, you're talking about a situation where they'll be back looking at this thing in October at some point, and the ramp up period, it'll be whatever it is, and yeah, I think he should be back by December. Based on what we know, like this is a big, but there are examples like this isn't. Like surgery to restabilize an ankle is typically an off-season thing because, a lot of times, like when guys sprain their ankle in the regular season, they're not getting surgery and, being out. Like, this is something that you do in the off-season as kind of like a cleanup type thing. But there are players who have done this. There's history. I'll throw a couple names out there. Like, if you want to go look up, like, big history, Taj Gibson is one who's had this surgery. If you former Grizzlies, Sam Merrill, that's a memorable one because he ended up, having to rehab a little bit while he was in Memphis or whatever the case may be after he had his, and both went on to still have productive careers, afterwards or whatever. So I think it's a situation where when he's back, and I don't think it'll be something that'll kind of, like bother him or anything like that. So, I think that like you said, December, based on what we know, based on kind of just like the history, with this surgery and this type of injury. I think that is a comfortable window you could say.
All right, real quick. So the follow-up would be, if our speculation is accurate, and we'll know eventually in time, if he's back and ready to go early December, do they really have to make some kind of major thing with the big, or do you think that they would have enough for that first month or month and a half with the return of Brandon Clark, who, of course, has been injured the last couple of years, Jay Huff? Do you still think they have to address the center position, or do they have enough with what they have right now? Just to wait to do something before Edey's back.
In theory, they could survive. They could survive that stretch without him because they have useful bigs, in Brandon Clark, Santi Aldama's a restricted free agent. I think, we could say it comfortably, like they want to bring him back. So you talk about the idea of having him back as well as Jaren Jackson Jr. And then, the ability to play, Huff, to play small. Like, you got options there that you are, decently comfortable with. But at the same time, I would say to you that even before Zach Edey's injury, I thought that the idea of adding another big who can, be that physical presence that could rebound at a decent level was imperative.
Okay.
To me, because even with, let's say, Zach Edey gets 2 fouls and he goes out of the game early, there were certain matchups where the Grizzlies just had no answer because it's like you have these give and take with these other bigs, where it's like, with Jay Huff, with Santi, like you get a lot of size, you get the 3-point shooting, but you do not get the necessary physicality, the necessary rebounding that you need. We're talking about Jay Huff averaged, I think, roughly 6.5 rebounds per 36 minutes. And Santi was a solid defensive rebounder this past season, but virtually gave you nothing as an offensive rebounder. And then you flip it around, you say, okay, well, what about Brandon Clark? And you get Brandon Clark in there, there's positives and negatives to that end as well, being that, yes, he's undersized, but he's a very good offensive rebounder. But defensive rebounding, at least this past season, wasn't his strength. So you just need someone, you can put on the floor who's going to rebound at a high level, because what we saw this season is when Zach Edey went out of the game, they were not a good rebounding team. The Grizzlies were not a good rebounding team without Zach Edey. So I thought that you want to at least have another option, and those guys are probably still going to be better players, but so much of this league is matchups. Like we've seen guys in this, with OKC, at times Aaron Wiggins or Kenrick Williams gets into the game, has a big game because they're good matchups over the course of the playoffs against certain teams. And I think having another big who's maybe 7 foot, who can, I think those Cleveland Cavaliers games are the best example of what I'm talking about. Like if you go watch the Grizzlies play the Cavs in those 2 games, where you see Evan Mobley and Jared Allen really impose their size on the Grizzlies because of the Grizzlies' lack of, just great rebounders other, than Zach Edey. That would be something that I want to see addressed in free agency.
The Taj Gibson thing you brought up, it's interesting because he had his surgery on June 16th. And when they did it, they said he would be out 4 months. He played October 27th. First game, he was there.
Wow.
So he was ready to go, and he played 73 games that season. So, I mean, it was literally just barely, it was 4 months and 10 days he was playing in an NBA game.
Yeah, exactly. So there you go. It's a situation where, again, like with Zach Edey, I point out that he is, he's 7'4". Yeah. He's a big boy. So and we know that we know the history with the Grizzlies. Like they're gonna be careful with him or whatever the case may be. But Greg, you said December. I think we can comfortably say like he should be back. If we're talking about the history of this thing, like you just pointed out, Todd Gibson, like the history of this thing does suggest that it'll be sooner rather than later. Like I know some people were worried about January and things like that. That is not what the history suggests.
The funny, like everybody, because it's the Grizzlies and these things seem to never go on planned schedule. Like everybody just assumes, like people, and it's a completely different injury, but I've already had people to bring up Steven Adams, like any big guy that goes down, like, oh yeah, we thought Steven Adams was only going to be out for a little while. He misses the next season. Like everybody just assumes with the Grizzlies, the timeline will be completely off of what actually happens.
Yeah, you tack on 2 months when it's the Grizzlies. With the
and I think with, who was it? It was Vince Williams or Gigi Jackson. I think it was Vince Williams, who thought was going to be back after he had that grade 3 ankle sprain, and he didn't get back to like February. So yeah, that's kind of the theme around here. People, just add on extra time just for their mental stability and expectations. So, but yeah, I think he should be fine.
It's always expected. Like if they say 4 to 6 weeks, everybody's like, well, that's certainly 6, probably 8.
Probably 8.
Like it's always just expect the worst and then plus a little bit more.
Add a little bit more with the Grizzlies.
Just a little cushion just to be safe on that. But and Gibson, literally, they opened the season with a back-to-back, and he played both games that year. So if that's the,
every player's different though. Every player. Real quick to Michael, and then I want to get one more quick topic in. We're short on time. Our buddy Jarbo texted in, and he said, what about addressing that extra big that you talked about with two ways?
With the two-way?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's definitely an option. And you have those. If you do that, then you're talking about potentially either packaging those 2 second-round picks to move up higher into the second round, or just using, one of those picks and maybe saying, hey, let's go find another Jalen Wells, or let's, the thing with bigs is, and what the Grizzlies have specialized in lately is, you just find a guy who's really good at what you need. Like when they drafted Jalen Wells and Cam Spencer, the idea was that, in short, is these guys are really good shooters. And then you tack on what Jalen Wells has done, it's kind of surprised them, especially on the defensive end and things like that. So you go out, you say, hey, who's going to be the best rebounder available in the second round? And next thing you know, you might have a player who can add a little bit more than that.
Okay, real quick, we've seen stories out there. I'm not sure where they originated from, but that the Grizzlies and Tomas Isolo looking to fill his staff and has maybe spoken with, or they've interviewed Adrian Griffin, a former head coach for a while in Milwaukee, Jarrett Dudley. These are longtime assistants and former players. Are you hearing anything on the assistant coaching front?
Yeah, before those names came up, one thing that I heard, and I kind of wrote about it a little bit as well, was that they will kind of target, some type of experienced NBA coaching to put, on the staff with him, which I think is a great idea. Of course, his staff is probably going to have some familiarity with some guys that he had in Europe, but I think they're definitely putting an eye out for experienced NBA coaching, whether it's head coaching experience like Adrian Griffin or a guy like Jarrett Dudley, who played in the league recently and has been an assistant coach pretty much in all of his post-playing career. So both of those are good examples of the idea of what the Grizzlies are looking for to add on this next staff.
He's the Grizzlies beat writer for the Commercial Appeal. He's DeMichael Cole. You can follow him on Twitter at DeMichaelC. Listen to him every Wednesday right here on Sports 56 Mornings. Thanks, DeMichael.
All right, take care, guys.
You too. All right, from the Grizzlies, we will turn our attention when we come back to the U.S. men's soccer team. And it was a disaster last night in Nashville. Our buddy on soccer, Lawrence Dockery, will join us to talk about that. He was there. And then coming up in our third hour, Parthu Pajai on Memphis Tigers basketball. So much more to get to. You're tuned in to Sports 56 Mornings with Greg and Eli on Real Sports Talk, Sports 56 and 98.5 FM.
Broadcasting from the Family Leisure Studio, we are Sports 56 and 98.5 FM.
I think a lot about golf, and
when I think golf, I think Miramichi. Did you know Miramichi Golf Course offers membership? It's a great way to play more golf for less out of pocket. Their memberships run for $300 a month plus tax, and that includes unlimited rounds and range balls, no extra card fees, priority tee time booking, and discounts in the pro shop. Oh, by the way, there's no initiation fee. Miramichi green fees, they'll allow you to choose the right rate at the right time on the right day for your needs. If morning tee times are more important, you can book up to 14 days ahead of time to reserve your spot. If rate is more important to you, there are discounted evening rates available that you can choose from. Miramichi is now open on Mondays, and you'll find the lowest rate is on Thursday. Sometimes you just need to escape the hustle and bustle of life. Miramichi Golf Course provides just the right place to solve that need. The name Miramichi means place of happy retreat. When you need a quiet, peaceful round of golf, please make your way to Miramichi.
Hi, this is Troy Five Ash, owner of Five Ash Roofing. Did you know there are so many roofing companies in Memphis that I don't even know them all? So that begs the question, which one should you choose? So I thought I'd give you a little background about me. My grandfather was a World War II Marine. My father worked for the University of Memphis for nearly 30 years. My mother, a pianist at Raleigh Baptist Church. Seems like forever. I went to Brownsville Road, Craigmont, and Bartlett High School, class of 81. We support the local school systems, youth athletics, and believe in what St. Jude and Le Bonheur stand for. I'm a Tiger and Grizz fan. The point? Memphis is my home. Five Ash Roofing will be around if you ever have a problem with the service we provide. Five Ash Roofing, fair, honest, and ethical, with deep local ties in our community. 367-0050 or memphisroofer.com.
Five Ash Roofing is what we do. We're here for you.
I'm Gary York. I'm the service director of Lexus in Memphis. Our service department wants to be more than just a place where you get your oil changed. We do glass repair, windshield replacement, recalibration of your camera and sonar systems, even wheel repair, tire replacement, all the things you would expect from a luxury automotive dealer. Please check out our website. You can schedule your appointment, check out our specials, hours of operation, or if you'd like to do it in person, please reach out to one of our associates at 912-715-5199.
This traffic brought to you by Raleigh Tire Auto Service, your local family-owned business for over 60 years.
Sports 56 traffic.
Good morning. Steady flow of traffic continues down the interstate here on 40 westbound as you work your way past 269 coming in from Fayette County into Shelby County. 385 Bill Morris Parkway busy, but it's moving from Collierville on Bill Morris as you work your way all the way to on that ramp to 240. Dandelions, nutgrass, crabgrass, Lawn Solutions here in Memphis says we'll take care of it for you. Call Lawn Solutions 867-5626. I'm Commander Chuck with your on-time traffic.
Sports 56 mornings on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM. This hour is brought to you by James Gaddis Jewelers. Diamonds are forever. Here once again, Greg Gaston and Eli Savoy.
Welcome back, everyone. 8:27 is the time. Tell you, I've lost count how long I've been at this station. I know that Eli and I have been doing this show since 2005, so we're over 20 years doing the show. And I can tell you that we don't talk about it that often. We'll bring on experts when we want to talk soccer because I'm not going to sit here and pretend I know soccer like our next guest. But I can tell you this. I have been talking about how bad U.S. men's soccer has been for that entire time. I don't know what's going on. I don't know why they can't get better. Thank God that the women, for the most part, have been terrific because the men just suck. And last night, in Nashville, playing in a Club World Cup friendly against Switzerland. The Swiss were not so friendly. A 4-0 final. The USA loses. And our buddy, for all things soccer, Lawrence Dockery, was there in Nashville. He covers soccer for Beyond the 90. He is the host of the 901 Soccer podcast. You can follow him on Twitter at LDoc93. And I know Lawrence shouldn't have any nice things to say about your experience yesterday in Nashville. How are you? Thank you for joining us.
Nope, not one single nice thing to say. Everything sucks. It's just I don't even know where to go. Like it's just one of those things where it can't be this bad, except that it is. We are like 1 year from today is the start of the World Cup, and fan interest has never been lower. Optimism has never been lower. U.S. Soccer CEO J.T. Batson earlier this year said they want to make every U.S. home game feel like a huge event. And I don't know if you saw the picture that I posted last night. U.S. Soccer said there were 20,000 people in that building. If there were 20,000 people in that stadium last night, I'll eat my shoe. They're like optically, like there's no positive. There's nothing for anybody to latch on to. You've got your best players not playing because they're lazy, they're spoiled brats, and they don't care. The players that aren't lazy and aren't spoiled brats and do care are not even remotely anywhere close to being good enough to put onto a field against teams that have real professional soccer players. The fans aren't going. The awareness of the team is at an all-time low, which would be a problem in any year, but it's really a problem the year before World Cup, and it's an even bigger problem when that World Cup is here, and that World Cup was supposed to be able to launch the sport of soccer into the stratosphere. That's not going to happen now. There are so many wasted opportunities, and I don't know where to go. I don't know what to do. I don't know that I have any answers.
There's obviously guys that aren't playing with the team right now, but the new coach, did they make a wrong hire?
It's starting to look that way. If you'll recall, the last time I was on the show, I think back in March, I was on cloud nine because he'd won 5 of his first 6 games. They had looked good. They were scoring a bunch of goals. Under the previous fraudulent coach, Greg Berhalter, they had a decent win-loss record, but they were all against rat teams. And they would, you'd look at the score and go, oh, they won 4-0. And then you're like, oh, all 4 of those goals came in the last 10 minutes of the game. So it was actually like a really close game, even though it had no business being. Like, that wasn't the case for the first 6 games of the Mauricio Pochettino tenure. And then at the Nations League in March, they went out there and, again, like that, you had most of your best players available. There were a couple of injuries, which is an entirely different problem, where it feels like every time U.S. Soccer releases the roster for a group of games, half the roster goes out with an injury before the game, which is frustrating. But like they played terribly against Panama. And then they got out there in the 3rd place game against Canada, which you knew Canada's coach is an American who, after the 2022 World Cup, was begging U.S. Soccer, said, hey, please, 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 please give me the job. I'm going to do wonders with this team. And they told him to get bent and brought back Greg Berhalter, which worked out so well last year. And then now you've got Mauricio Pochettino, who nominally is probably the best coach that the U.S. has ever had, but going from the club game to the international game is very different. You don't get as much time with the players, and he kind of said as much last night. He's like, look, we've only had this number of windows and only this number of days in each window, so we're still trying to evaluate the team right now. But they can't, when teams are struggling, you kind of want to look at what you do well and give yourself something to hang your hat on. There's nothing to, do they score a bunch of goals? No, they don't. Do they defend well? No, they don't. They gave up 4 goals in a 20-minute stretch last night. I think they could have put me and you guys out there, and it would not have looked any different. That's where we're at. So I was initially very high on the Mauricio Pochettino hire. It looks like it's going sideways in the worst possible way right now. This is the first 4-game losing streak for the U.S. men's team since 2007, when they lost 5 in a row. And I think this is the first time ever they've lost 4 straight home games.
You mentioned Lawrence, not having some of their top players, Christian Pulisic being one of them. Do the other countries normally have their full array of players during these type of friendlies?
Yes. the frustration here is not that they're just opting out of the friendlies, but the Gold Cup, which is essentially our conference tournament, starts on Sunday. And this is the last real tournament window that we're going to have before the World Cup next year. And so the hope and the expectation had been that since it's the last real group of competitive games before the home World Cup next year, that all of the top players were going to come and be here so that we could get an idea of what the World Cup team was going to look like next year. Now, again, there's the complicating factor of the Club World Cup is going to be going on simultaneously with the Gold Cup, and so several U.S. players are playing for club teams in this new Club World Cup, which we'll get to in a minute. But the clubs are not obligated to release their players back to the national team. So there's 3 or 4 U.S. players that are on these club teams, and so you had to cross them off the list. But the biggest frustration is Christian Pulisic, who, unprompted, which is always a little bit strange, back in March, made sure once the noise about, guys, maybe these guys just really don't give a crap, unprompted, was just like, this national team means everything to me. And then before the Gold Cup roster is released, he said, yeah, I'm not playing this summer. Deuces. And then somehow, mysteriously, was able to play like the final 2 regular season games for AC Milan, despite there being nothing on the line in those games. Because, you know, he's like, oh, I'm burnt out, I need a rest. Or you're paid like a lot of money to play soccer. I would like you to play soccer. It's like, I've got the stat floating around. Let me get it pulled up. It's not too dissimilar to the stat that I put out there about John Morant has only played in like 120 out of 380 Grizzlies games over the last 4 years. Christian Pulisic, since he debuted with the U.S. national team in 2016, the U.S. national team has played 145 games. Christian Pulisic has only played in 78 of those 145
Wow.
games. So, yes, I think we are all going to question your commitment to the national team, and I think one of the things that Mauricio Pochettino is trying to undo is the sense of entitlement with this group of players, which is not necessarily unique to the U.S. soccer players. It's a much larger societal issue, I believe. But they're just like, yeah, you know, we're playing at these clubs, so we're not going to lose our spot in the national team, regardless of whether we give a crap or not. And
Nothing on the line, right? Nothing on the line. Okay.
Yeah, there's like no, like, I'm Christian Pulisic. Why would I not make the national team? Or I'm Weston McKennie. Why would I not be called up for the national team? So, Poch on various occasions has been like, we want players that are desperate to play for the national team. Different press conference, he was like, look, when you're here in the national team, you're not here to bring your golf clubs and go to fancy dinners with your friends. You're here to play soccer. So that's a big problem. So the guys that we've got now, theoretically, all want to be here. Diego Luna is probably the best of the bunch, and I will strap up and follow Diego Luna to the abyss. But that's it. The guys that were out there last night may have wanted to have been there, but I think after about 20 minutes last night, I don't think they wanted to be out there either because it was real ugly, real fast.
So you are on the side then, I guess, of Landon Donovan in this thing, or is Landon Donovan the wrong guy to do it because of the whole glass houses thing?
Yeah, exactly. That is 100% the case of right message, wrong messenger. Because Donovan, like many of us, is really irritated with these national team players that don't take playing for the national team seriously. And during Fox's broadcast of the European Nations League over the weekend, he kind of went off the deep end. It's like, I'm so sick of these guys opting out, not playing games, not wanting to represent the country. And I agree with everything he said. I have no qualms with any of the points that he elucidated. My problem is he can't be the one saying that, because back during Jurgen Klinsmann's tenure as the U.S. boss during 2013, Landon Donovan took a sabbatical, and maybe he did need it. He had been the flag bearer and talisman for the U.S. national team for the better part of a decade, and he was a little bit burnt out. But the problem was that the U.S. was in the middle of trying to qualify for the World Cup in Brazil, and so he just disappeared to a beach in Cambodia for 6 months. And that's Jurgen Klinsmann said in a podcast last year, I think, that's why he didn't go to the World Cup, because we had guys that were out here trying to qualify for the World Cup, and you weren't, so it was not going to be right to take you and not the guys that were there. So totally agree with what he said. Do not agree that he needs to be the one saying it.
So the likelihood is, unless they can fix things and fix things fast, is that they're going to embarrass themselves in the World Cup. And luckily that they host the Olympics in 28 in Los Angeles, so they have their squad's automatically in as the host. Is that correct?
Yes, we're in as the host automatically for 26 and for 28. There's been real discussions about whether this team would actually qualify for the World Cup if we weren't in automatically.
Yeah, I mean, look, we've talked about it before. We've gone down this road about why they're so bad, and I'm tired. And I'm not going to do it today. We'll do it another time again. But I'm tired of
I'm sure they'll stink up the joint at the Gold Cup. We can regroup in a couple of weeks.
Yeah. I mean, the excuses are our best athletes are playing other sports. We got 1 trillion people in this country, for goodness sakes. We lose to countries with like 17 people. I mean, come on. I've been saying this for 20-something years on the radio here in Memphis, and really going all the way back to when I did TV in Maryland. I mean, they've never been good. They really have never been good, and it's an embarrassment. Luckily that the women are. Speaking of women, before we let you go, I definitely want to get this in. Ashley Henderson, University of Memphis. Tell me about her. She is a stud.
Yeah, so not only has Ashley Henderson been one of the best players for the University of Memphis women's teams for Brooks Monaghan for the last 2 years. I think she led the team in goal scoring last year. She has made quite a name for herself at various other soccer events this summer and earlier in the spring. She got called up to represent the U.S. women's national futsal team. Futsal is kind of like an indoor type of soccer. I'm not super familiar with futsal, but hey, that's a Memphis Tiger getting called up for a U.S. national team, so I think that's a pretty big deal. And they went down to futsal World Cup qualifying in Guatemala City, and the team didn't do so well, but I think in that first game, Ashley Henderson scored 2 goals, one of which was a laser beam from quite a ways away. And then this past weekend, I don't know how familiar you guys are with it. It's something that pops up on my radar that I don't really care about. I think it's kind of stupid. But the TST, the soccer tournament there in North Carolina, which is soccer's version of the TBT, the basketball tournament, which 2 or 3 years ago, I think everybody here in Memphis was going absolutely bananas over because Joe Jackson was on a TBT team, and it was people were doing which I found utterly bizarre. But again, Ashley Henderson scored a sudden death, extra time, game-winning goal to send her team to the final, the women's final in the TST. And not only did she score the game-winning goal, she scored against former U.S. women's national goalkeeper Hope Solo, who might be a little bit crazy and a little bit out there and have a bunch of legal issues, but is beyond a doubt the best U.S. women's goalkeeper ever. And so that was super cool to see Ashley Henderson kind of get that moment in the sun after doing so well with the U.S. women's national futsal team. And I think early last season or maybe late the season before, Brooks Monaghan said she wants to be a professional, and I think she's going to be playing professionally one day. And I haven't seen anything from her this summer that would lead me to believe that she won't be. I think we can continue to expect big things from her for the U of M next season.
Good for her. Good for Brooks and the University of Memphis women's soccer program. He is Lawrence Dockery. He covers soccer for Beyond the 90s, a host of the 901 Soccer podcast. You can follow him on Twitter at LDoc93. He is our soccer insider. Lawrence, great stuff. Sorry your experience was not great in Nashville. There'll be other times, and we'll talk about it on the show. Thank you so much.
Yep.
Take care.
Speaking of soccer, you got to use your feet a lot.
That's what I heard.
Fleet Feet. They take care of your feet. They take care of your feet with shoes.
And that's when you use your head, right?
Shoes that are just right for you. That's key, especially when you're out there running, walking, but just on an everyday basis, especially if you're on your feet a lot. You want shoes that are perfect for you based on the way you run, the way you walk. Go see the folks at Fleet Feet, and they'll take care of that for you. You can go to either the East Memphis location in the Laurelwood Shopping Center or the Collierville location, Poplar and Houston Levy next to Huey's. Go on in, let them take a look at the way you run or walk, and get you fitted with shoes that are right for you, plus any other gear that you need. They've got it for you at Fleet Feet.
So I heard you during the first segment when I was driving to work talking about the Knicks situation. We got more news on the Knicks coaching search when we return. This is Sports 56 Mornings with Greg and Eli on Real Sports Talk, Sports 56 and 98.5 FM.
Broadcasting from the Family Leisure Studio, we are Sports 56 and 98.5 FM.
Andy Wise here. For 6 years, I've endorsed Pella Windows and Doors of Memphis and the Mid-South as the standard in affordable luxury. Now get this. Pella just got more affordable. 12 months, no interest, no payments on what Consumer Reports has rated the highest quality windows on the planet, plus 50% off installation. That includes consumer guarantees no other window company will ever match. You have my word. You'll make the wise choice when you choose Pella Windows and Doors of Memphis and the Mid-South.
They're taking care of beerness in Memphis right on the river with Grind City Brewing and all of their great products. Look, this was a dream come true for a father and son duo. And if you have not been to that brewery right on the river, just to the north of downtown, you're really missing something special. And now you can't miss their products. Wherever you go, you see a brand new label. It's clean, it's beautiful, it's distinctive. You'll know Grind City Brewing, and of course you know their products like Poppy's Pills, that great Pilsner, or Tiger Tail, that very creative craft malt liquor. There's the new Thaddeus Amber Lager. That is absolutely a great light beer. There's the India Pale called God Hopper. It's outstanding. And then there's the Belga, the Belgian-style wheat ale. They keep bringing hits at Grind City Brewing.
Since 1948, in the alley, the Rendezvous. I'm with John Burgess. John, what's going on in the Rendezvous? Well, there's some things about the Rendezvous I'm going to talk about. For example, we make it really easy to park. We have valet parking right at Monroe Street in our alley. We also want to make it easy for people to get to doors. You can now park in our alley right at our front door and put your flashers on. People also forget that we take reservations for 6 or more. And we have a wonderful party room upstairs that can accommodate people for rehearsal dinners, birthday parties, reunions, graduations. Our rooms seat between 25 and 275 people. And everything at the Rendezvous can be packed to go. But we also do catering. See our menu online, and we can even deliver for groups of 15 or more. So if you have any questions, always feel free to call us at the Rendezvous because we answer our phone ourselves. You'll never hear. Please listen carefully for our menu listing. Press 1 for reservations, press 2 for hours, press 3 for catering, or if you know your party's 9-digit extension number and the first 3 letters of the mother's maiden name, dial it now. Come see us at the Rendezvous. Since 1948, the Rendezvous.
Now back to Sports 56 Mornings on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM. This hour is brought to you by James Gaddis Jewelers.
Don't you just love it?
Here once again, Greg Gaston and Eli Savoy.
Welcome back, everybody. 8:47 is the time. The U.S. Open gets underway tomorrow from Oakmont, but also getting underway in the next few days. In fact, on Sunday, Father's Day, is the annual St. Louis Church Hole-in-One Charity Festival, which is more than just the hole-in-one and the golf. It's a lot of things going on for the entire family with food and drink and just good times. So make sure you take advantage of that. The proceeds going to help out a great church, a great school, St. Louis Catholic Church at 203 South White Station Road. Always one of the fun events of the year.
Great event. Love it. Can't wait to be out there next week. We'll be giving away some free buckets of bowls as well for that event. So, yeah, there's all kinds of stuff. Obviously the golf, but cornhole tournaments, all kinds of. It's just a great event. Love that one every single year.
All right, so you were talking about the Knicks situation with the coaching vacancy, that a couple of right now active sitting head coaches were denied, right? They were denied the opportunity to talk to those coaches, Chris Finch and Ime Udoka. And you wondered what the situation was with Jason Kidd, because we have not heard one way or another with Jason Kidd, who's the first name that really popped up Well, the Knicks were denied permission to speak with Jason Kidd. Shams reporting that now. So no Kidd, no Udoka, no Finch. We know that Danny Hurley said thanks but no thanks. Jay Wright said thanks but no thanks. I think Red Holtzman is dead, so they can't go with him. You brought up Elijah Mark Jackson. I think they should go with Mark Jackson. I thought Mark Jackson was a hell of a coach when he was active. But Jeff Van Gundy, as you said, another former Knicks head coach. Do you go with Malone with what he had done with Denver, won an NBA title a couple of years ago, but people say, hey, he's got the same demeanor as Thibodeau. And Thibodeau obviously rubbed James Dolan the wrong way. But I don't get it. You go to the Eastern Conference Finals, you come up a little bit short against a red-hot Pacers team. So I'm thinking, all right, that's progress for Knicks fans. They can't be completely upset. They're disappointed they didn't win and get to the NBA Finals. It's been a long time, but this was a positive step. They got the right pieces, it seems like, and then all of a sudden it was let's pile on Karl Anthony Towns and a disconnect with the coach and what their job responsibilities were, that kind of crap. You heard that, and then the next day Thibodeau's fired. And yet it doesn't seem like they have a game plan. There's like no game plan. You're going to fire that guy and not know really which direction you're going to go, and now you're just throwing things out there and hoping it'll stick. And you made a good point about the Knicks always wanting to land the big name. So, I don't know. Where do you go? Where do you go from here? How about Budenholzer?
Yeah, I don't know. Again, you would have thought that if you're going to make that move, you would have had somebody, at least maybe if they weren't your number one guy, you had somebody you knew, like, if we're going to shoot for this guy, but if he says no or we can't talk to him, then we've got this guy. We know he'll take the job. Done deal, whatever. But they clearly didn't have that plan. Unless they had a 12th guy as the guy. Like, if the first 11, if we can't get these first 11, then we know we can get this guy, and that's our guy. But it's this is at this point, it seems to be a bit of a train wreck. Because if you wanted Kidd or you wanted Finch or you wanted Udoka, you had to have the back channel conversations originally with their people. Like, hey, would he come here? Would he leave there to come here? Because even if the team says no, if the guy wants out, you'll get him. If he really wants to come to you, because no team wants to hold on to a coach that doesn't want to be coaching their team. So if you knew that Jason Kidd wants to come here, he wants to get out of Dallas and he wants to come here, you can make that happen. But that doesn't seem to be the count or the situation with any of these guys actually wanting to go to New York.
How often does it happen with a coach who's disgruntled that wants out? With a player, it happens all the time. But it's rare for a coach. Coach is usually there to fulfill the contract and have as much success as possible and hopefully get a new contract.
Well, the problem, all of these coaches they're talking about are coaches who are with a team right now that's good. Like they don't, or has a good situation. Why? There's no reason for Udoka to leave Houston. Like he's got a really good team who's on the way up. Obviously, Finch has a good team in Minnesota. And the Mavericks, while they didn't have a good year, they're a year away from separated from the Western Conference Finals, and they're about to draft Cooper Flagg. So, he's got a pretty good situation. They're not trying to hire a coach away from some team that just finished, is on the way down and looks like it's a disaster. So
well, the Knicks always have had a warped sense of self-worth of who they are. Just look at their history, right? They're not the Lakers. They're not the Celtics. They're not the Bulls, for goodness sakes. Yes, it's the Knicks. It's New York. It's the largest market. It's the Mecca at Madison Square Garden where you play, but it doesn't necessarily mean it's I have to go destination for every coach out there.
We were talking earlier about the Grizzlies situation and the big guy, and we got a text from Matt. He said, do we still have the big guy from North Carolina in the G League? And could he fill that role? Armando Bacot, well, he finished the season with the hustle. I don't think he's gone overseas, or I don't know if he's doing anything right now as far as the offseason. I don't know what his plans are, if he does plan on going overseas, being back in the G League, being whatever, or getting a chance. Obviously, I mean, he would be a guy if you early in the season needed, again, a stopgap for a couple of weeks. You could certainly put him on a two-way contract and use him as an extra big body guy until Zach Edey was fully healthy and ready to go.
You call the games for the hustle. Why did Bacot not get an opportunity anywhere? Like, nobody signed him to a 10-day contract. I don't get it. Like, what is Bacot missing? Is he slow?
He's not going to be able to defend on the perimeter at all, and he's not some, he's a good rebounder. He's a really good rebounder, but with his back to the basket against NBA guys, he's not going to score. He did show the ability parts of the year where he shot the three ball really well. That's the big thing he was trying to prove in the G League, was that he could shoot the three, because he's going to have to be able to shoot the three to play in the NBA. But he's going to have a real tough time guarding in the NBA, just like most big guys that come out of college.
Well, again,
it's a lot like Jedi Broom. Why nobody's going to look at Jedi Broom as an NBA player? He's not athletic enough at that size in the NBA.
Well, it's not like Edey's able to do that on the perimeter.
He's 7'4".
Bacot's 7 foot, right?
6'10", probably.
Oh, is he really? Because I was going to say, we just had DeMichael on, and DeMichael talked about maybe filling a gap with somebody who can really rebound the basketball. Well, if he's a good rebounder, the Grizzlies have enough guys who can score. They don't need their five-man to be the scorer. Edey is not dependent on to be a scorer, but he rebounds the basketball, especially when he's playing next to Jaren Jackson Jr., who's not a good rebounder. So I don't know. I don't know what, but I was a little surprised when DeMichael said that may still, even before the Edey injury, that may have been a point of emphasis of the team anyway, going after another one of those bigs. And I'm thinking to myself, man, you got to fix the wing situation. You have to get somebody prolific on the wing who could defend and still score. And they're hard to come by, and it costs you a pretty penny, and you don't have the money. I'm just tired of excuses. Figure out a way, man. Figure out a way. I had mentioned this briefly earlier. NCAA President Charlie Baker. He was speaking. He was a keynote address speaker, and he was speaking in front of a bunch of collegiate athletic administrators. And he was talking about the recent multi-billion-dollar House settlement approval. He said it creates a far better future for the organization, one that comes with choices instead of bankruptcy. Said, blame whoever you wish to blame, but the simple truth is clear. College sports' collective inability or unwillingness to change years ago put the entire enterprise at risk. Is the settlement disruptive? Very much so. But it's an opportunity for the D1 community to pay for back damages over 10 years instead of triple that amount all at once. And it creates a future that comes with choices instead of bankruptcy. So I'm thinking to myself, wow, you got to pay out $2.8 billion, man. I would think that puts you in bankruptcy rather than anything else. But he makes perfect sense as far as that being spread out and getting that done and not lingering where maybe more money would accrue. I don't know. I don't know all the details of this, but the NCAA, which doesn't have the teeth that it once had, he's talking about a far better future. I don't know what that future is. All I know is that future will include paying out $2.8 billion.
Well, if they would have went to court and lost, they were paying out a lot more.
And that's his point. Yeah. And that's his point. All right, we'll take a timeout. We'll come back. Hour number 3 of the program. You're tuned into Sports 56 Mornings with Greg and Eli on Real Sports Talk, Sports 56 and 98.5 FM.
Looking for sports in all the wrong places. Try the Owner's Box Sports Bar and Grill in Lakeland's Town Square. Fun, exciting, friendly, and comfortable. Wall-to-wall TVs, 24 taps for all your beers, including $3 domestic and $5 craft pints on Monday
Savino and Rich. And whether you're heading to the office, kicking back to watch the game, or enjoying a night on the town, Travis Matthew has you covered. They create versatile apparel designed to make you look and feel your best, wherever the day takes you.
From performance-driven styles to everyday essentials for both men and women, Travis Matthew bridges the gap between style and comfort. Ready to elevate your everyday? Visit TravisMatthew.com and get 20% off your first order when you sign up for email. That's TravisMatthew.com.
Visit Frontier Western Store today for new shirts and boots. Frontier is your top Carhartt store in the Mid-South. There's thousands of in-stock shirts and jeans. They have the classic K87 pocket tee in every color they make, including new ones just released. Available small to 4X. Want new jeans? Frontier has you covered with super tough work denim by Carhartt. And you've got to check out their selection of area jeans for men, women, and children. You'll love how easy it is to find the size and style you need. Have you seen Frontier's remodeled world-famous boot showroom? It continues to expand. New styles by area just arrived, plus plenty of in-stock proven classics too. Whether you need work or dress boots, trust that Frontier's the place to come. See thousands of pairs of Ariat boots and thousands more by Dan Post, Corral, Durango, Rocky, Twisted X, and others. And Frontier's pricing is lower than online and chain stores, so you know just the local shop to visit. Frontier Western Store, 5880 Goodman Road in Olive Branch, and on the web at frontierwesternstore.com. Locally owned and operated since 1967.
I'm Gary York. I'm the service director of Lexus in Memphis. Our service department wants to be more than just a place where you get your oil changed. We do glass repair, windshield replacement, recalibration of your camera and sonar systems, even wheel repair, tire replacement, all the things you would expect from a luxury automotive dealer. Please check out our website. You can schedule your appointment, check out our specials, hours of operation, or if you'd like to do it in person, please reach out to one of our associates at 912-715-5199.
This traffic report brought to you by Triangle Meat Company, feeding Memphis since 1967. Open 8 to 5, Monday through Friday, 4790 Summer Avenue. Trust Triangle Meat Company.
Sports 56 traffic.
Good morning. Traffic's on the increase even more out here where you would expect. 55 northbound, working your way up from DeSoto County up through Shelby County as you come into South Haven. Traffic still moving at the moment on I-40 as we check it out live over here at Germantown Parkway. It's trying to build on I-40 westbound in from Fayette County into Shelby County. Dandelions, nutgrass, crabgrass. Lawn Solutions says, hey, we'll take care of it for you. Call Lawn Solutions today here in Memphis at 867-5626. I'm Commander Chuck with your on-time traffic.
This is Original Sports Station. We are Sports 56, WHBQ Memphis, and W253DF Memphis.
Welcome back, everyone. 9:02 the time. Final hour for us today here on Sports 56 Mornings, the Wednesday, June 11th, 2025 edition. Greg Gaston, Eli Savoy, Elijah Seegers. We're live and local, broadcasting from the Family Leisure Studios. Family Leisure, 2120 Whitten Road, just north of I-40. Currently 74 degrees, going to get up to about 90 today. Partly cloudy skies, and then tonight we're looking at partly cloudy skies as well with a low of 70 degrees. Hour 3 of the program brought to you by Jenkins Floors and More, located at 2356 Goodman Road in Horn Lake. They also have stores in Cleveland, Mississippi, and in Little Rock, Arkansas. They specialize in flooring and carpeting, a family-owned and operated local business. They have hardwoods by Portercraft. The carpeting comes from Southern Luxury Carpet, top of the line. Plus backsplashes for your kitchens and bathrooms, plantation shutters and blinds, ceramic and porcelain tiles, and so much more. They sell at wholesale. Skip the middleman, save you lots of money in the process. They can do the job for you as well. They'll come to you wherever you are, and they'll get the job done in 2 weeks if you elect to go with Jenkins. But again, they'll give you a free estimate and come to you. You can't get anything easier than that. Give them a call, 662-469-9350, or again, stop by 2356 Goodman Road in Horn Lake, open Monday through Saturday. Great family, great service at Jenkins Floors and More. Today is the 28th anniversary of the Michael Jordan flu game. 38 points he scored putting the Bulls up on the Jazz. It was Jazz, right?
I think that was a Jazz. I don't remember what.
3-2 in that series. I'm looking at the highlights, and all I see is up close and personal shots of Michael Jordan trying to find the team they're playing. Yeah, I think it's Utah. Yep, there's the mailman. That was June 11th, 1997. All right, so we talked a lot yesterday with Steve Sands and Mickey Barker about the U.S. Open. It begins tomorrow. I'm sure you saw a lot of the videos of the practice rounds that were taking place. And my gosh, the putting green where the guys were, testing out different things. Did you see the John Rahm video where he was watching the one putt? And I don't know who putted it, but the break it had on it, it was laughable how much of a break it had, the undulation it had. And then I saw a video of Bryson DeChambeau go out there and play 3 holes. So it was really cool. You watched him play the 3 holes of, how he'll attack it starting tomorrow. And I think he went, and he hit the ball pretty well. He didn't hit it in the heavy stuff. I think he went bogey, par, bogey. Just in those 3 practice holes. So he was 2 over after 3, and it looked to me like he was hitting the ball really well.
Well, when you hear a guy like Rory McIlroy talk about in his practice round that he played there last week or whatever, that it felt impossible. Like the guy who drives at 350 and everything else, like if they feel like a course is impossible, that's pretty telling.
He shot an 81, did he say, when he went out there for the practice round? I mean, Rory shooting an 81. Who was it yesterday? Oh, Justin Thomas said on Twitter that he would love to see guys go out, the 5 handicap, 10 handicap, 20 handicap, and play on Monday, Oakmont, USGA rules from the tips where the pros play, and see what they would do. As Steve Sands said yesterday on the show, he said get your local club scratch golfer, and he will have a hard time breaking 90 at Oakmont. And I had to retweet and comment with Thomas. I'm thinking to myself, I'd love to try that because I don't know if I'd be able to keep it under 200. I mean,
I would have no desire to try it because it would be a miserable day.
I mean, I can't even imagine. First of all, playing from the back tees. Do you know what the distance is?
I am not sure what it plays at. I mean, they got the one par 3 that I think Colin Morikawa hit a driver on, in his practice round. It's 289 or something like that for a par 3 that they could play it at.
289.
You got 500-yard par 4s.
Number is it 13 at TPC Southwind? Is that the par 3? 13, right?
14 is a
14. Okay. Remember when they used to play it way back? They haven't done that in years and years. Remember when it was all the way back? What did that play? 245? Something like that?
I think 230. I think was the farthest. Maybe I don't.
Is that
remember.
it? 230? Okay, but still, that's a big hit. 230. I mean, if I'd have to get like everything and roll and everything to hit at 230 off the tee. So I can't even imagine that par 3. Morikawa's using the driver. I'd have to use a bazooka. I'd have to use the thing that you go when they put the ball in the cannon and shoot it. That's what I would have to do. But, I'm depending on the course, 84, 83, 85, my low. And then I usually around 90, 91, 94, 95 probably for a high. I can't even imagine. And I'm pretty consistent with all the courses, right? But I couldn't even imagine trying that. It would have to be somewhere in that 200 neighborhood. And people are like laughing probably as I say that, but I'm telling you, if you're a golfer out there, you're probably dealing with the same stuff. You hit that in the rough. First of all, there's got to be somebody to find the ball. So if that ever happened, Justin Thomas got to make sure that officials are out there on Monday as well, because at least you have people finding the ball for you. Could you imagine if they didn't and they had to find their own ball, how many penalty strokes they'd have?
They list it at 7,372 yards.
Okay.
And it's a par 70, so you're only talking 2 par 5s,
right?
And that's 7,300.
Jeez.
1 par 5 is 611 yards. The number 8, the par 3 is listed at 289.
289 par 3. That's crazy.
The other par 5 is 632, so you're talking 611 and 632 on the 2 par 5s. Par 3s are 236. Now, obviously, they can move to different tee boxes.
Sure.
And they'll play this different. 236, 182, 289, and 200 are the listed yardages for the 4 par 3s. And
and then when you get up there, the greens are running at 15 on the stem. If you get up there.
Number 1 is a 488-yard par 4. They've got...
But don't you love it, folks? Don't you love that this is going to be the challenge they face?
507-yard par 4 to 502-yard par 4.
And I know players, they get mad. Oh, that's all the fans want to see us go through hell and all. No. Normally, we want to see you make great shots, and that's what you do because you're the best in the world. But every once in a while, meaning every year at the U.S. Open, I want to see the toughest challenge for you possible, and it is. And some courses are not as challenging, but they're all challenging because they let the rough grow and all that. But some are more than others, and this one's the ultimate. So I am looking forward to it. As Sansi told us, there'll probably be a few scores. You'll see somebody go out there tomorrow and shoot a 67 or 66.
Where'd you going, Tiger? Sansi.
Yeah, why not? So I look forward to it. Do you have an issue with watching these guys struggle? I don't feel bad for them.
I don't have a problem with it one time a year.
Right.
That's what
I'm saying.
As long as it still rewards the good shots. I don't like it when the course gets stupid and you can't even, they have no chance to do anything because the good shots end up rolling off the greens or whatever. But growing the rough up and doing that one time a year, I don't have a problem with it.
Who sets up the course for the Ryder Cup?
Well, that's a PGA Tour deal. So that's PGA Tour or the Royal and Ancient, I guess.
A combination, maybe, because I can't imagine, as hard as Bethpage Black is, that they're going to trick it up for the Ryder Cup. So I think it won't be as hard as it was when they had the Open there before. Would you agree?
No, I mean, you don't want this for a Ryder Cup.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
It would make no sense to do that for a Ryder Cup.
That's my point.
The USGA does it for the U.S. Open, and that's pretty much it.
Yeah, well, I'm looking forward to it. Hopefully you guys are as well, with the Open beginning tomorrow.
There was a video yesterday. I don't even know who it was. I think they were with the Shambo. Somebody putted from 122 yards
Yeah,
out.
I watched it.
It actually it was a great putt.
Great putt.
Putted to 5 or 6 feet from 122 yards.
Putted it. Who would ever do that? Why would you putt it?
They were just showing, I think, the downhill of that because they didn't have to hit it that hard, and it just rolled.
Well, and then it kept going over.
And rolled and rolled and rolled, and then once it got on the green, it just kept rolling, and it was unbelievable actually the way to see how close they were able to putt that from that far away.
Major League Baseball yesterday, Aaron Judge hit a 469-foot home run in Kansas City.
He killed that baseball.
They say it's one of the longest. Now, Bo Jackson hit a few in his day in Kansas City, but they say this is certainly one of the longest ever hit at Royal Stadium.
And I don't know who the announcer was. I guess because I guess it was the Yankees broadcast. I was watching MLB Network, so I guess it was the Yankees broadcast. I don't even know. But literally, Judge came up, or no, it wasn't. No, it was MLB. It was the MLB Network guys. Because they weren't playing the actual broadcast. They were showing the game, but the guys, and it was Vasgersian, and I don't remember who the heck was in there with him. And literally, Aaron Judge took the first 2 pitches And the guy goes, he's going to hit a home run. He's going deep right here. Just by the way he took the first 2 pitches. And he goes, he's going deep right here. And I believe it was the next pitch and when he hit it, I thought it might go 1.5 miles. Like that, you can't hit a ball harder than what he did. It was absolutely perfectly squared up. Unbelievable. Ball just launched.
Yeah, Kauffman Stadium. I think I said Royal Stadium. Kauffman Stadium. But yeah, I thought it was going to hit Arrowhead Stadium.
The Athletic has done their anonymous Major League Baseball player poll. They do with the other sports.
They came to the conclusion that Tyrese Halliburton is the most overrated Major League Baseball player.
They asked players, which player do you most like to watch play? 135 players responded, and Shohei, the runaway winner with 29 votes. Bobby Witt Jr., second on that list with 14. Aaron Judge, surprisingly, only got 5.
Did Ellie De La Cruz get some votes?
Yeah, he got 9. He finished 4th. Ronald Acuna Jr. was 3rd, and then Ellie De La Cruz. Which hitter would you least want to pitch against in Game 7 of the World Series? Juan Soto wins that by 1 vote over Shohei. Aaron Judge was 3rd in that one. And on the other side, what pitcher would you least want to face at the plate in Game 7? Chris Sale with 8 votes. Tarek Skubal with 5. And then Zach Wheeler, Aroldis Chapman, Paul Skeens all with 3 votes. So Paul Skeens getting 3 votes already in just his second year on that one. One of the things, they did a bunch of different things, but one of the questions they asked about was potential rule changes. And the players overwhelmingly against the robo-umps.
They're against it.
Calling the balls and strikes.
Okay.
It was 63% said no, only 17% said yes, 19% said they were unsure on that one.
Does that surprise you?
I don't think they want the robo umps calling all the balls and strikes. I think they want the system that they used in. I think the players want the system that was used in spring training with the challenge of the umpire thing that then goes to the robot. I just don't think they want the robots all the time.
They're taking over the world.
But there was one. This is just funny because the way the conversation we had yesterday. One of the respondents. They asked them about, I guess, things they would like to see. One change you would like to make to improve baseball on the field.
The return of Morgana.
And they talk about fewer games, more off days, some other stuff like that, blah, 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 marketing, all these kinds of things. And one of the ones, I can't find the, but they basically said they want the system they came up with is what they do for banana ball. For the Savannah Bananas.
Savannah Bananas?
Like
what?
Each inning is its own game.
What?
Yeah, here it is. Each inning is match play. So if you're the home team and the other team doesn't score the top half of the inning, and then your leadoff in the bottom inning hits a home run, you've won the inning. Now you go to the next inning, which is what the Bananas do. Each inning is a point, and when you win the inning, you get a point. And then what the Bananas do is after 8 innings, whatever the score is, point-wise, that's what you go to the 9th inning, and then you add in. Then the 9th inning is played normally, but you add your runs to your point total you've accumulated through the first 8.
Elam ending sort of.
So he basically says every inning is it, and he even said apparently it was a pitcher, and he said it could eliminate my job because he said the way you use pitchers is completely different because again you could literally end the inning in one pitch for instance. And so he said it could eliminate my job, but I guess maybe he's a big fan of the bananas and he likes the system they use. And he didn't say he didn't bring up the bananas, but I just happened to see that was the way they did the other night. But yeah, every inning, and he may want to do it for the full 9. It's best out of 9. I don't know. But every inning it's match play. You win the inning, move to the next inning.
That is the dumbest friggin' thing. Yeah, it's fine for the Savannah Bananas. That is the dumbest thing ever for somebody to suggest that for Major League Baseball. That is nuts. And yeah, it sounds like that dude was having some fun. A couple other notes from baseball, and then we'll take a break. Parthu Pajai on the other side. So I mentioned the Judge home run. We talked about that. Aaron Judge is at 396 for his batting average, Eli. It's June 11th. When do we start to seriously look at the possibility of 400?
There's like 2 weeks left of the season, and somebody's hitting 400.
We got to wait that long with Judge? I mean, it just doesn't seem like he's going to run into a big slump that's going to knock him well away from 400. He's been hovering in that 392 to 398 range an awful long time. And I wonder if there's going to be... Now, it's hard to pitch around him because of the other dudes that are smashing the ball for the Yankees. Wells, their catcher, had 5 runs batted in that game yesterday. Grisham's been hitting the ball in front of Judge. Now, Bellinger's up to 260. Goldie's leading off at 310. Chisholm, has got power, even though he's only hitting 215. So that one will be interesting. Also, here in Memphis, a report yesterday that, and nothing from the school officially, but Memphis assistant Ford Pemberton, who is the hitting coach for Memphis, has been there the 2 years with Matt Reiser, expected to be named the head coach at Louisiana Monroe. He's a Louisiana native, and if that does happen, he would be replacing Michael Federico, who is also a former Memphis assistant coach who got the gig at ULM for, I guess, 9 years now. But, again, that's the story out there. Nothing official, but that Ford would be, right now, the top candidate for the head coaching job at Louisiana Monroe, and reports say that he will likely be named the head coach. So if that is the case, then I want to certainly wish him the best of luck. Well, from baseball to basketball, Shoot 360 Memphis is the place for you. If you are a basketball player, you are inspired by what the pros do, because some of them have actually learned on this system, or have gotten better, I should say, on this system, like Steph Curry, like Klay Thompson. John Morant uses this system from time to time. Obviously, Thaddeus Young, who is one of the owners of this system. They use it to fine-tune their skills. But you can use it to become a better all-around basketball player, but in particular, a better shooter. Shoot 360 is a revolutionary basketball training facility. It combines everything you need, cutting-edge technology with gamification, so you're having a lot of fun while doing so. You're getting that instant objective feedback with the analytics, the numbers, and then the hands-on one-on-one expert coaching. You can become a member, and you can do so on a monthly basis, month to month. You cannot beat that. They have 2 locations, the original in Collierville and in Cordova, the 50,000 square foot facility. They have 3 high school-sized courts, 2 NBA regulation-sized courts, 4 shooting bays with Shoot 360 technology. Nothing like it. You have never seen anything like it. You need to stop by and have them give you a tour. At the Cordova location, it's Big Orange Road. The number to call, 901-779-3176. Have them take you through it and show you how it works. In Collierville, 85 Market Street. That number is 901-316-5500. Like I said, you can sign up month to month. The future of basketball training is here at Shoot 360 Memphis. When we come back, we're talking Memphis Tigers basketball with Parthu Pajai. You're tuned into Sports 56 Mornings with Greg and Eli on Real Sports Talk, Sports 56 and 98.5 FM.
Be sure to follow us at Sports56 WHBQ on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube to watch live video of our shows. Stay up to date with station events and have chances to win prizes. Don't miss out on anything that's going on. Follow us at Sports56 WHBQ.
Hi, I'm Finley Lavin, defender for University of Memphis Women's Soccer. Southern Security offers the latest in technology with our personal teller machines. Our PTMs allow you to speak in real time with a Southern Security team member with experience and service you trust and know, delivered at your convenience. To locate a PTM near you, visit us online at southernsecurity.org or call 901-452-7900. Southern Security is a proud supporter of the University of Memphis Athletics and 901 Women. Federally insured by NCUA.
Introducing the new Dell AI PC, powered by the Intel Core Ultra processor. It helps do your busy work for you, so you can fast forward through editing images, designing presentations, generating code, debugging code, summarizing meeting notes, finding files, managing a schedule, and responding to Jim's long emails. Leaving all the time in the world for the things you actually want to do. No thanks, Jim. Get a new Dell AI PC at dell.com/AI-PC. How those ahead, stay ahead.
I'm Gary York. I'm the service director of Lexus in Memphis. Our service department wants to be more than just a place where you get your oil changed. We do glass repair, windshield replacement, recalibration of your camera and sonar systems, even wheel repair, tire replacement, all the things you would expect from a luxury automotive dealer. Please check out our website. You can schedule your appointment, check out our specials, hours of operation, or if you'd like to do it in person, please reach out to one of our associates at 901-271-5199. Each and every Sunday morning at 11 to join Ottawa Presbyterian Church for worship. Ottawa is a PCMSA church located in Memphis.
Spring is in the air, and it's the perfect time to grill, chill, and save with Choates. Install a new generator, tankless water heater, or Carrier HVAC system, and you'll get your choice of a free green egg grill or 36 months no-interest financing. Stay powered during storms, enjoy endless hot water, and slash your cooling costs this summer with a high-efficiency Carrier system, and grill some slow-smoke barbecue on us. But hurry, the special ends soon. And if you're dealing with plumbing or electrical problems, Choates is here for you too. Give us a try and take $60 off your repair. Leaky faucet, clogged drain, broken outlet, lights flickering? Call Choates and save $60 on your plumbing or electrical repair service. Call 347-8086 or visit ChoatesHVAC.com today. And remember, Choates, let our family serve your family.
This traffic brought to you by Raleigh Tire Auto Service, your local family-owned business for over 60 years.
Sports 56 traffic.
Good morning. A couple of accidents getting some attention out here. It's trying to build even more in the Midtown area just in the last few minutes on 240 North as you work your way up past Lamar as it gets heavier on the I-40 bridge here over from Crittenden County, West Memphis, going eastbound on the bridge here, the Hernando de Soto Bridge. Traffic still moving down I-40 right now, just heavy passing Germantown Parkway. Weimer's Jewelry, your diamond engagement ring headquarters this bridal season. Stop by and see David and his family today at Weimer's Jewelry on Highway 64. I'm Commander Chuck with your on-time traffic.
Now back to Sports 56 mornings on Sports 56 and 98.5.
Welcome back, everyone. 9:28 is the time. It is Wednesday, each and every Wednesday all year long. We talk Tiger Hoops with Parth Upadhyay.
It's time to talk Memphis Tigers basketball. Joining Greg and Eli is Parth Upadhyay, the Tigers beat reporter for the Daily Memphian. Now here's Parth with Greg and Eli.
It is always great to catch up with Parth Upadhyay. Read all his stuff at the Daily Memphian. Follow him on Twitter. I'll spell it out for you. That's at P Upadhyay. That's PUPADHYAYA_. He joins us now on Sports 56 Mornings. How are you?
Good morning. Doing well. How are y'all?
Doing fantastic. I know it just happened on Friday with the decision by the judge to finally accept the House case, the settlement.
Now, what a Friday news dump, right?
I mean,
8 o'clock, 8:15 on a Friday night?
Incredible.
On,
and that's what the funny thing was when Charlie Baker was talking, and he said he was at a wedding when it happened. So he literally, like, that's how big of a deal. Like, the president of the NCAA is at a wedding, said he checked his phone to see if his kids had called and got the alert that it had happened.
That's nuts. Luckily, I was still at the Daily Memphian office, so it worked out well in that regard.
Yeah, I didn't hear it at first because I was doing something. Was I at a movie? I don't know, but then I got the information. Of course, we talked nonstop about it since. So I want to ask you this, knowing that you don't have any answers for this. I don't believe you do, but so you look at the Memphis situation, and we know now, Tim Pernetti, the commissioner of the American, was on with us, that there is that $10 million that he says every school in the conference is committed to.
Yes, to have like a floor.
A floor
so
of $10 million.
Yes.
We know that the ceiling for the first year for all schools would be $20.5 million.
Correct.
Probably somewhere in between lies what Memphis can do. Now, my question to you would be, do you have any idea what that number would be? Do you have any idea what the breakdown would be for basketball? And do you have any idea if the what are they called? Where you get the other money from for the NIL? Collectives. Sorry, brain fart.
Their involvement.
If
yes.
if the collectives will still cease to exist. So a lot of questions there, but like, what are you hearing right now as to where maybe things are going, the direction Memphis is going in?
Sure, yeah, it's hard to say like what the breakdown will be like per sport, but you've got to think that there seems to be a renewed or reamped commitment to football, right? Given that is the ticket, at least the way Memphis looks at it, into getting into a power conference. So maybe that's kind of number one there, and then basketball is always going to be huge here, Memphis Tigers basketball. So that's probably 1B, along with football being 1A. Ed Scott spoke at a Bank of Bartlett event. It was like a Tigers fan/donor event back in late April, and he kind of spoke about plans. At that point, this wasn't passed, of course, but he basically said that, and I'm reading this quote. This is a direct quote from Ed Scott. He said, "I can tell you right now, we're not there." And there meaning the $20.5 million revenue cap, right?
Mm-hmm.
He says, "My hope is that we'll be about halfway there this year with the resources that we have." So that kind of tells you at least the ballpark of where Memphis lies, right? And I think even that, if you're talking
that just gets them to the minimum.
That gets them to the minimum, yes. But I think in all likelihood, where that number will finally land may be around a little bit above the minimum, right, of the AAC, that is. So probably like 12, 13, which, according to Ed Scott, would be among the best in the group of five. But as we know, this is the tricky part, right? That gap between the haves and the have-nots, so to speak, is kind of getting wider. So being at the top of the hill in the group of five, what does that really mean when you're Memphis and trying to compete with the big dogs, especially in football and men's basketball? So.
Yeah, again, we know how much trouble this school has had through the years trying to raise money. It's just not easy for them to come up with $20 million. Just is not, I guess, just not there. And so, who knows what that number is? Who knows how close they can ever get? Because again, that number is going to go up every year, so you're constantly chasing that number. I would be really interested to know their breakdown between football and men's basketball, because the formula that keeps getting thrown out there, that most people believe
right?
that how it's going to be. I would guess that Memphis would have a higher percentage going to men's basketball than most schools will.
Yeah, not more than football, but a higher percentage. I would agree with that because, the formula, and there's no set formula. Every school's different, and they're going to attack it differently. But I keep hearing like 65%. Well, let's just say if what Ed said, and I'm sure he's telling the truth here, that we're about halfway there.
And that could have changed from late April to now, right? It's been 6 weeks since those comments were made.
Right, but this, obviously the minimum is $10 million within the conference as allocated by Tim Pernetti or whatever. So let's just say it's $12 million, and it's 65% football. What's that math come to?
Let's just say 65%. That's probably what is it? 7.5 out of
somewhere over $7 million, right? So. And then basketball, 25%, men's basketball?
Man, that's not
a lot.
$3 million.
And that's
not a lot at all.
Exactly. And that puts you at 90%.
That gets you one All-American player.
That
in
puts
this
you at
market.
90%,
Yeah.
and then the
Yeah.
10% or maybe even a
Oh,
little bit
gosh.
less goes to everything
Women's
else,
soccer,
including
which is a powerhouse.
women's basketball.
Yes. Yeah, and
all
women's
these other-
basketball, excuse me.
So all
Yes.
these sports. No. I mean, your point's well taken. Women's soccer is really, really good. Women's basketball, not as strong, but women's basketball is always looked at as,
The
the
front porch.
expenditures are going to be.
Yes.
So I don't even know how you do that. And that doesn't even count the money that they're still raising to complete everything at Simmons Bank Liberty Stadium, other projects that
The
are
Liza
going
Fletcher
on as well.
Stadium, right? For
Exactly.
women's soccer, yep.
Exactly. Now, that's why I asked you about the collectives. Are the collectives going to, at some schools they will continue to exist. Will they exist with Memphis?
It's hard to say, right? And even if they do exist, it's hard to say what their involvement will be able to be in this new world, because obviously anything that's coming from outside of that that 20.5 million pile, right, which Memphis, as we said, is not going to hit that, but that rev share pile from within the university, within the athletic department, everything that's coming outside of that has to be looked at by a third party, right? With this, what is it, NIL Go clearinghouse or Deloitte run?
Deloitte, yeah.
When will that start? Like immediately?
That's already started. It starts today, actually. I think the deal's starting to. I think those deals have to start being reported today, if I'm not mistaken.
Okay.
It's over $600.
Then how is Texas Tech reporting that? Wasn't there a story that there's $55 million being allocated to the student athletes at Texas Tech?
I saw something about that, yeah.
How's that? I mean, again, if you're
nuts.
talking about 20 and a half for your ceiling for this year, that's $35 million coming from collectives. I'd like to see all those deals. But anyway.
And all the deals that got done before the approval of the House settlement.
Yeah, are they grandfathered in?
Yeah,
Are they grandfathered in? Or
I think it's
do you
only
retroactively
new
have to-
deals now that have to be
Okay,
reported. I think
okay.
if you already have the deals, I don't think they have to be. I don't know for sure on that, but I think from what I understood, it's just new deals. But I believe today is the day that those deals have to start going through the clearinghouse now.
Yeah, here's Brandon Marcello said it's believed Texas Tech will pay its players $55 million revenue sharing plus NIL among all its programs this year, making the Red Raiders perhaps the highest paying college athletics program in the country. That's just nuts when it's, again, a 20.5 ceiling.
Yeah.
And then all the rest has to come from
again, they just paid a
NIL.
softball pitcher $1 million, so they're
That's
not
nuts.
they've got the money to hand out.
No,
They're paying a
I'm not-
softball player $1 million.
I'm not saying that they don't have the money. I'm just saying that in this new world,
How did that get cleared?
right?
Right?
Yeah, how's it all going to get cleared? $30 million for
Yeah.
the players, and then it goes back to Memphis again. Those collectives, I mean, they're going to be necessary for basketball. Now they have one again that deals with all the sports, and the one specifically that deals with basketball.
Correct.
And that basketball one, really, I don't know what the future is, but it's almost like it's absolutely necessary to come up with the money that they're going to need
To build a competitive roster.
Yes.
Yeah, no doubt.
But the problem becomes, again, the money, because they're not at the $20.5 billion. They would rather just bring all that money in house to distribute.
Sure.
But with theirs, when you've got a collective that's just focused on basketball, if you bring all that money in house, are you just targeting that to the basketball team as a higher percentage? Like
Right.
that's the stuff
Right.
you got to try and figure out. So I don't know. Again, how they will do that, what their percentages are, football, basketball, on down the line. But I would have to assume they're I would guess they would be one of the higher percentages going to men's basketball in the country.
And you wish you could hear from the University of Memphis. You know, a lot of schools obviously around the country have made public comment. A lot of conferences have, but of course, Memphis and the AAC have not spoken, at least publicly, yet on this.
Because the whole thing is, and we're talking, if you're not at $20.5 million, it makes no sense to have the collective. You just bring that money in house. It's only if you're at the $20.5 million and then you've got the extra money that you can do through the collectives. If you don't have $20.5 million, what's the collective? Just bring all that money in house to try and get you to $20.5 million.
Yes, but that specific basketball collective wants that money to only go to basketball.
It's earmarked for basketball,
And
yes.
yeah, there are people that are donating to the NIL and that collective to go to particular players.
Absolutely.
Let alone just the basketball.
That's what I'm
program.
saying. I don't know if they were to bring that in house, would they then say, but this is a pot of
Earmarked
money that
for basketball.
We're going to make sure it goes to basketball. And maybe they will just say we'll keep that separate. I don't know.
Yeah.
But they would much rather have it. I think they would much rather have it all in house under one thing to distribute how they want.
All right, from the roster standpoint, we got the news about Felipe Patino. We hardly knew him.
Hardly knew him. Yeah.
What do you
that's
think
right.
happened there? Do you think he saw the writing on the wall, or is this one of those like Penny's like, I got enough guards, I'll let this guy go? How do you think that materialized in your opinion?
Yeah, it's hard to say, but I think, obviously with just the overload of guards Memphis had, when Curtis Givens, who was the last player to commit, when he committed, Dante Harris obviously was still on the roster until he transferred out. But at that point, they had, I want to say, 8 guards, right? Now we know we can have 15. You can have 15 players on the roster, so 8, over half the roster was just, guards. Then Dante Harris hits the portal the next day. You're down to 7, and I think even 7 was a lot. So somebody was going to be the odd man out. Obviously, you just look at who they brought in via the transfer portal. Sincere Parker and Doug McDaniel, Quante Berry, even Julius Thedford. Like, those guys are coming in with college experience, whereas, someone like a Felipe Patino is coming in with junior college experience, still valuable, still a great shooter, right, with what he's done at the junior college level. But I think it was one of those things where somebody had to go, or there was going to be folks who were unhappy, right, with their playing time and their role next season.
So he's been committed since when?
He was December. I think it was mid-December.
Yes.
when
So
he
he's been
committed. Yes.
So I mean,
Him and Vera Tuck were both committed early.
Vieira Tuck was a commit for the class of 24, if you recall. And then there was an issue with his eligibility status, and that's why he went to go play with Overtime Elite for a year.
But right now, and you saw the videos of Penny, as now they can start working with the players, limited amount of hours, but they can work with players in groups and I guess individual as well. He talked about, all I need is 12 guys running through that wall, basically. And that's when we're like, wait a minute, they have 13 players. But so Patino's go. They can go to 15, like you said, but they have 12 players. So, as you said, 8 of them are guards. They don't have any size.
Well, 6 of them are guards now.
Okay.
Dante Harris and Felipe Patino are out the door.
But,
right?
they only have one legitimate big at 7'1".
One legitimate
in
big,
Bradshaw.
2 bigs total, right, with William Wharton and Aaron Bradshaw.
Who averaged 2 points a game
Right.
playing for who? South Dakota State?
South Dakota State.
I mean,
yes.
I'm not going to sit here and say, wow, this team's going to be bad, because I've learned my lesson.
Yep.
I saw what Penny was able to do. Last year's team, obviously they got some players that had names, and so I thought, okay, could be good. I just wondered about the chemistry. Here, I'm just wondering about, I'm not even worried about the chemistry. They're there, and I'm worried about, like, the talent. I just don't know how talented this team is. So do you think that he's still looking to add, especially with the lack of size they have? Gapari was a guy they were looking at.
Yep.
Maryland, he ends up following his former coach, Kevin Willard, to Villanova. What else is out there?
Yeah, I think that's the tough question. The first answer, or the answer to your first question, absolutely, I think they're looking to add, just because I think it's hard for me to imagine that Penny goes into the season with 2 true bigs on the roster, right? Aaron Bradshaw and William Wharton. It's just, I don't believe that's going to happen, especially now that they've let go of a player. They've got not only 3 roster spots to work with, even withholding one for Dane, you'd have 2, right? 2 roster spots to work with, and a little bit, that's the key word there, like that's the key phrase there, a little bit of cash to work with, right? In order to get somebody on the roster, even if it is just an extra big 6'9", 6'10" body, just somebody to be there.
Well, have you heard anything new on Danger?
Yeah, the Danger situation, I think it's still kind of a waiting game in order to get a final answer, right, from the NCAA. It hasn't looked too promising, last I checked in on it. Now, obviously,
nobody expects it to be a positive thing for Memphis, right? That they're going to win this thing.
Yeah, and I think the thing that some people are forgetting is, like, even if, let's say, Memphis does not, quote-unquote, win this thing with NCAA, it's not over, right? Like, you're seeing several athletes around the country, taking legal action against NCAA, trying to get TROs or preliminary injunctions or whatever it may be.
Right.
In order to, suit up for now and then handle the rest later.
Yeah.
If Zakai Ziegler were to win his lawsuit, would Danger then have another, like, I always forget. Has Danger played 5 years already, and he's trying to get a sixth?
No, that's the thing. He's only played 3 full seasons of basketball. Maybe I'm mistaken.
I always forget how
3 full seasons in that one season with 3 games, right?
So he's only been in school for 4 years.
No, he's been in school for 1, 2, 3,
He had a
4,
redshirt
5 years.
Okay, so he's different
I'll
than
run
Ziegler.
through it real quick if you don't mind.
Ziegler's
right?
different. Ziegler's trying to get. Ziegler's only been in school for 4 years.
Yeah,
He's
he
trying
wants
to
a
say
fifth
he
year of
wants his-
playing.
But he's played all 4 years.
Yes,
their entirety.
he's saying that you have 5 years, you should be able to play all 5 years. His would be different. I'm saying if Ziegler wins, that wouldn't automatically mean Danger would be eligible.
Yes, and there's some people saying now it should be 6 for 5. 6 years to play
Man,
5.
This thing is nuts.
All right, so what were we going to say? You're going to rattle off the Danger thing.
Yeah, just to recap for listeners, I'm sure we've talked about it, ad nauseum, obviously, the past few months. But yeah, Danger's been in school for 5 full years, but he's only played 3 full seasons, right? So 2021, he was redshirting, but he was ineligible for competition at Baylor, right? So he sat out. But while being ineligible for competition, he could still practice with the team, which is where he suffered that foot injury, right? He broke his foot. The next season, he plays 3 games at Baylor while still, dealing with the nagging foot issue or the recovery from the foot injury, whatever it may be, but then chooses to transfer from Illinois or from Baylor to Illinois between the fall and spring semesters, right? So he left on his own, but because he left midseason, he had to sit out the rest of the year because of transfer rules. Then you get to 2022, 2023, where he plays 33 games at Illinois. 23-24, plays 38 games at Illinois, transfers to Memphis ahead of last season where he played 35 games for the Tigers. So he's only played 3 full seasons.
Yeah, his argument is the season he played 3 games.
Correct.
They're trying to get that season back, although he played 3 games and then decided to transfer mid-season. That's
trying
hard.
to get him
That's
4
that's
full
tough,
seasons.
Tough argument to make. Like you played and then you chose to transfer, and that's why you had to sit out the second half of that year. So that's the tough argument to make.
That's what hurts him, the transfer, when he decided to transfer. I don't know if we talked about it. We don't have a lot of time, but Utah State, is that official?
That is it's not. When the news came out, when John Rothstein broke the news, the contract was in place but had not been executed, right? So it wasn't, fully I's dotted, T's crossed type of thing. But, it's pretty much official. Like that game is going to happen. That series is going to happen.
Yeah, they're a tournament team. They're okay. But again, it looks like Logan for first year, not
on
Memphis.
Valentine's Day, yeah.
So again, this team has 4 openings now and lacking home games.
Yeah.
So are you hearing anything else?
I would expect a lot of these to be home games. Obviously, you're going to, just looking at the schedule and looking at how the schedule has been constructed in the non-conference in the past, you're going to have at least 1 or 2 more bye games, right? That goes without saying. But you would really hope that at least 2 of these spots out of the 4 are marquee opponents and at FedEx Forum. That's the key.
The longer it lingers, the more worrisome I get as to being able to nail down a couple of big names. But you're right. 2 of them, I think, have to be marquee to help that schedule, and you're going to probably have the 2 other
bye
byes,
games.
Alabama State, something like that. But it'll surely be interesting. But also the fact that, again, with 3 spots now available to them doesn't mean they have to use them. Will Penny fill those spots? Of course, Parth will have you covered. All things Tigers basketball over at the Daily Memphian. Make sure to follow Parth on Twitter as well at P.U. Pajai. Listen to him each and every week talking with us here on Sports 56 Mornings. Good stuff as always, Parth. Thank you.
Appreciate y'all.
All right, we'll take a time out. You're tuned into Sports 56 Mornings with Greg and Eli on Real Sports Talk, Sports 56 and 98.5 FM.
We are Real Sports Talk. Sports 56 WHBQ. Available on your radio dial at 560 AM and 98.5 FM, as well as around the world online at sports56whbq.com. Take us with you everywhere by downloading the Sports 56 app. And at home, just say, Alexa, play Sports 56. Sports 56 and 98.5 FM.
Nestled in the heart of East Memphis, located corner of Park and Cherry, is a beautiful residential neighborhood. I'm here at Town Village Audubon Park interviewing a new resident, Carolyn. Share with us why you chose Town Village.
Well, if your parents or special friends need to make that big move, let me share with you my experience. It was tough for me to leave home, but then I discovered Town Village. I would like to highly recommend Town Village to you and your loved ones. After looking at all the amenities and meeting all the people and the staff, I was hooked. From restaurant, bistro, 3 meals per day, housekeeping, transportation, security, health care, physical therapy, exercise room, and even a heated pool and spa. Come see us and make your new home in Town
It's like home, town, village.
Introducing the new Dell AI PC, powered by the Intel Core Ultra processor. It helps do your busy work for you, so you can fast forward through editing images, designing presentations, generating code, debugging code, summarizing meeting notes, finding files, managing a schedule, and responding to Jim's long emails. Leaving all the time in the world for the things you actually want to do. No offense, Jim. Get a new Dell AI PC at dell.com/AI-PC. How those ahead, stay ahead.
Hi, this is Troy Fiveash, owner of Fiveash Roofing. I have been told that my ads are all business and I should share some of my personality. Okay, I love tongue twisters, like the one about the terrific tasting toast by Taste Tester Toaster, or Big Black Bugs, Bleed Blue Blood, and of course Sally and her seashells. Or of course the ever-present I'm a mother pheasant plucker, I plug mother pheasants. Okay, enough of that. If you want an honest, fair, reasonable roofing, siding, or gutter estimate, call Fiveash Roofing at 367-0050. That's exactly what you'll get. No empty promises, no high-pressure sales tactics, and no fast-talking salesman trying to convince you that today and only today is the best day for you to get a new roof. For the record, the best day to get a new roof is when you're ready for one. Fiveash Roofing, fair, honest, and ethical. 367-0050 or memphisroofer.com.
Fiveash Roofing, it's what we do. We're here for you.
Now back to Sports 56 mornings on Sports 56.
So you watch TMZ, you say, right?
Yeah. Not religiously, but yeah, I wouldn't. If I'm sitting around the house at 6:30, I pop it on.
You watch it all the time. How your guys, they need to be ashamed of themselves. How in the world could Aaron Rodgers be married for a couple of months and TMZ has not uncovered this and already had this story and tell us who he's married to? It like literally blows my mind that Aaron Rodgers has been married now for a couple months and we don't know who he's married to.
Okay, they're slacking TMZ because TMZ needs to get that.
Incredible.
Yeah, they needed to get the
I'm
job
sure
done. They failed.
People should be getting fired today. Like people at TMZ should be getting fired. Like this, how in the world have you guys allowed this to happen? And I'm sure they have put a bunch of people on this to figure out who it is. But in today's world, for Aaron Rodgers to be married for a couple of months and nobody knows who it's to is mind blowing.
It's mind blowing, but Aaron Rodgers is such a weirdo that this was probably one of those. Obviously, it was like, I'm not saying a shotgun wedding. I'm not saying she's pregnant, but it was one of those probably out of the country, real quick, justice of the peace type thing. Nobody at the wedding, no family members. Maybe even family members didn't know. Something weird. If it's Rodgers, it's weird. So you throw that all together, and I'll slide him a little bit of slack, TMZ. But yes, TMZ's normally on top of all this kind of stuff. And that really surprised me. But wasn't there an event recently that they had a photo and Aaron Rodgers had the ring on? I'm not talking about the presser at Steelers camp. What was it that recent, like within the last?
He signed a contract. There was the picture of him.
That's when it was. Okay, when he signed the contract.
Like there's other stuff that has happened recently where he's had this ring on.
Yeah, but I wonder why.
People never had a chance to ask him again. But I'm stunned that TMZ has it already. Once they first saw that he was wearing a ring, had dudes staking it out, and I assume he has spent time with the wife since they got married in the last 2 months, and how TMZ hasn't been able to get a picture of them or something to figure out who the heck this is.
Yeah, I wonder if it's a famous person, because he dated a bunch of famous people, from Danica Patrick to Olivia Munn to other movie stars, starlets.
And I mean, I get it. They're trying to be nice. Like, how do the Pittsburgh reporters, when he says I'm married or whatever, or it says it is a wedding ring, and they say how long or whatever, and he says it's been a couple of months. You at least have to say, like, who? Can you tell us her name?
Right.
But they're just like, they've moved on. Like, At least, and he's probably going to say no, whatever. He obviously doesn't want this out there for whatever reason. But like you would think at least somebody would be like, "Can you tell us who you're married to, or just what her name is, and just see what he says?" And they let him completely go. It's just like, "I've been married a couple months." All right, so back to the Steelers. Like, what? How is that not like? How do you not ask something more about that?
I know. Where's the follow up?
TMZ was like, TMZ would have had a reporter there. But again, I'm guessing TMZ has like people all over Aaron Rodgers right now, like his house, everywhere else.
They want to be first,
trying to get a picture of this somewhere. But again, in this world we live in, that he could be married, if he's telling the truth, for a couple of months and it not come out. That's crazy secretive.
Yeah. Now, as far as
like literally, have you not gone in public at all with this woman?
No, I don't think he has. I'm certain he has, but maybe not in the country. Maybe out of the country. I don't know. I mean, he goes on those weird
anywhere
things.
Aaron Rodgers goes, like people are going to take pictures of him. Like there's not one time he's been out in public with this woman. Like that's
no.
bizarre.
I'm sure he has. I don't know. I have no idea. Maybe it was a dude. Maybe he married a dude. Well, I assume it was a woman.
Right, could very well could be.
I mean, who knows? But he did say the right things about the Steelers and what he said about Mike Tomlin, and it just reemphasizes my thoughts that those two knew that this was going to happen. Aaron knew he was going to Pittsburgh, and Mike Tomlin knew he was getting Aaron Rodgers, and they knew it for a while. While it certainly wasn't signed, it wasn't documented and all that, they knew it was going to happen. In the meantime, in Cleveland, where the mandatory mini camp is going on, as people expected, the reps are going to mainly Joe Flacco, Kenny Pickett, and then Dylan Gabriel. So Shedeur Sanders is getting a lot less reps because, well, he's a fifth-round pick. He's not a quarterback who has started games in the NFL like the other two. And he's not a third-round pick like Dylan Gabriel. He gets his opportunities. He just doesn't get that many opportunities. Doesn't mean he won't make the team. But, again, for people who thought he was going to come in here and take the Browns by storm and get all these reps, that ain't happening. Now, he'll have more opportunities once camp opens up, the big camp, sometime in July. But that is going to be a storyline that is not going to go away. Tonight, NBA Finals, Game 3, Thunder, 5.5-point favorite over the Pacers. We're back tomorrow morning, starting 7 a.m. to talk about that and everything else that's happening in the world of sports. I want to thank DeMichael Cole, Lawrence Dockery, and Parth Upadhyay for joining us on the program today. Among our guests tomorrow, we'll talk some Major League Baseball with our buddy Kerry Miller from Bleacher Report. Waldo and Friends on Sports 56 is coming up next. For Eli Savoy and for Elijah Seegers, I'm Greg Gaston. Have a great day, everybody.